All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another news day at the N News Network. We've got a lot to kind of cover, as you would expect. The protests, as you can see in the top right, are still going on. So we will be covering that throughout the day. Apparently, they've intensified again, as well as the protests, or now we're not to call them the protests anymore. It's actually a revolution in Iran. And the regime has come down hard. Estimated reports of number of deaths now. I've heard anywhere from a few thousand to upwards of 12,000 people now have died. So it's climbing quite rapidly, unfortunately. But we talked about this yesterday. We knew this was going to happen, and now we've got to wait to kind of see what's happening with the population. Who do we have here? We got Hauser. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. So we will be covering that. Kaisley, hey. Is this a bot on YouTube or on Kick? Go away, dude. Seriously. We don't need bots on Kick, dude. Go away. Let's see. You know what I think? If this works. I don't want to even go on to Kick. Actually, I can. I'm gonna put a nip that in the butt right now. There we go. How do I ban? Question is, should we even bother with Kick? It's such a pain. Anyways, here's a news announcement that I saw earlier, reported by Fox News. That is, Iran is set to hang a protester in what would mark the first execution tied to the anti-regime demonstrations. So bottom here, let me just...
Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich has...
Yeah, actually... What's this? So we'll watch this quickly here, but...
The latest live from the North Lawn. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, Brett. Tomorrow, the president will huddle with his Secretary of State and top Pentagon brass to go over options for U.S. intervention. But tonight, the president dealt a first round announcing 25% tariffs on any country doing, quote, any and all business with Iran. South of Tehran in Isfahan, clashes unfolding in the streets.
Cure everything,
Security
man.
Forces now using live ammunition on demonstrators. A source describing the scene to Fox News as a battle. Human rights groups estimate 544 people have been killed in the last week. That number expected to rise amid the internet blackout. President Trump warned the U.S. would intervene if the...
We were talked about this as soon as I started. The estimates are now in the thousands for deaths, so... I've heard as high as 12,000, but that's completely unconfirmed. So,
regime crackdown on protesters.
The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
The options reportedly range from airstrikes to sanctions to anti-government propaganda and cyber attacks. But the unrest is giving way to an opening for new talks on a nuclear deal.
What the Iranian regime is saying publicly is quite different from the messages they are sending to the United States and the Trump administration privately.
Envoy Steve Witkoff got a call from the Iranian foreign minister over the weekend, the White House confirmed. But nuclear talks last June ended with no deal, the U.S. bombing Iran's nuclear facilities in October. The country's exiled crown prince making this appeal.
Mr. President, you have already established your legacy as a man committed to peace and fighting evil forces. There is a reason why people in Iran are renaming streets after your name. They know that you are totally opposite to Barack Obama or Joe Biden.
Analysts say a kinetic strike, quote, could galvanize bigger protests, at least for a time. But it could just as easily backfire because it might signal that Mr. Trump is not really serious about following through more significantly.
This is what we talked about yesterday. I said that he goes and opens his mouth. He makes all these promises, and if he doesn't follow through with them, you're going to get a lot of people killed.
Threats. Protesters could be...
He can't go and start making all these promises if he's not willing to follow through on it, because a lot of these Iranian people, they're getting their hopes up. And if for whatever reason he doesn't follow through, there's going to be a lot of Iranians that could die because of that. It's completely careless. So hopefully he was being honest when he made those promises, or suggested that the U.S. would have the Iranian people's backs.
Demoralized, while the regime would feel emboldened to crack down harder. Democrats with this warning.
Last time America militarily intervened in Iran to change a government was 1953. Right. CIA overthrew a government there. Most historians would say that led to the Ayatollahs.
One Mideast expert told Fox today the window for action is closing because the president drew a red line on violence against civilians, and he will need to act on his promise. Meantime, the president is also doubling down on his pursuit of Greenland, saying if the U.S. doesn't take it, Russia or China will, and he is not going to let that happen. Brett.
Jackie, the president also sending this implicit message today to the U.S. Supreme Court as it considers this challenge on his tariff authority.
I don't think China
the president
gives a
said
crap about
if
Greenland,
the
to be
court
honest.
does not rule in his favor, the U.S. is, quote, screwed, arguing it would take years to unwind the question of how many hundreds of billions of dollars would need to be paid back for charges that have already been levied on imports. And that does not even include all of the investments that countries and companies made in order to get lower tariff deals. The
Wait,
US
how much?
is, quote,
How much did she say?
screwed, arguing it would take years to unwind the question of how many hundreds of billions of dollars would need to be paid back for
Hundreds of billions of dollars. What is she talking about? I thought Donald Trump said that they'd already collected 17 trillion. What is this hundreds of billions of dollars stuff? Trump said that they've already brought in trillions and trillions of dollars.
Charges that have already been levied on imports, and that does not even include all of the investments that countries and companies made in order to get lower tariff deals. A decision from the Supreme Court is expected in the next couple of weeks, Brett.
Jackie Heinrich, live.
What I will tell you is that what the Iranian regime is saying publicly is quite different from the messages they are sending to the United States and the Trump administration privately. President Trump, as for him, he has always expressed that diplomacy is the first option, always has been, always will be. And so what President Trump will do next, only he knows, so the world will have to keep waiting and guessing, and we will let him decide.
The White House says that President Trump is weighing.
Is YouTube going down again? I don't know about you. Hold on. Or maybe it's my internet. I don't know. You guys there? I think it's maybe it's Fox News.
What I will tell you is that what the Iranian regime is saying.
Yeah, it seems. No, it seems like YouTube or everything's lagging. Great. This is a hint that I should not stream today? What's going on here?
Is quite different from the messages they are sending to the United States and the Trump administration privately. President Trump, as for him, he has always expressed that diplomacy is the first option, always has been, always will be. And so what President Trump will do next, only he knows, so the world will have to keep waiting and guessing, and we will let him decide.
The White House says that President Trump is weighing his next move as Iran institutes a deadly crackdown on anti-government protesters there. President Trump ramped up pressure on Tehran yesterday, announcing a 25% tariff on goods from any country doing business with Iran. He is expected to be briefed today on more options for a U.S. response, and the region waits to hear. Trey Yingst is there. He has the latest from Tel Aviv. Hi, Trey.
Dana, good morning. New reports indicate at least 3,000 Iranians have been killed amid anti-government demonstrations. The confirmed number is expected
I said
to be...
earlier it was at least a few thousand. I've heard reports as high as 12,000. Just from one source, though. Hopefully it's not that high.
Overnight, thousands of people gathered in the streets.
Internet today.
Of major cities once again, including the capital of Tehran. Further south in the city of Isfahan, Fox News was able to make contact with a man who is using Starlink. He described battles between protesters and security forces who are using live ammunition. On the call, he said the government has really repressed them using weapons of war against the demonstrators. At the moment, the situation for the demonstrators in the street, the atmosphere is like a war zone. And some
there was a picture I saw earlier where the Iranian government said that they caught a shipment of Starlink satellites coming into the country.
Person right now. He has so much popularity because of the steps that he took toward preventing the growth of terrorism in the Middle East. They respect him. The internet blackout in Iran continues, making
Trump's
it
the most
difficult
popular
for people
person
to
in
get
Iran
new
right now.
Although international calls were
Maybe he should be
briefly
president
going
of
through
Iran
overnight.
too.
The Americans, Israelis, and Europeans are watching these demonstrations closely, with German Chancellor weighing in today.
If a regime can only keep itself in power by force, then it's effectively at an end. I
believe
we are now seeing the final days and weeks of this regime.
That's wild, man.
There's no legitimacy through elections in the population.
That's wild. I don't know if I ever thought in my lifetime I'd see the Iranian regime
to end this conflict
fall
peacefully.
Amid the crackdown, there is growing fear among protesters. One man in Tehran messaged me overnight saying, "My days are numbered." Dana?
Trey Yings, please keep us posted. Thank you so much.
What is this new case launch over ICE?
Thank you. Let's bring in retired Yuma Sector Border Patrol Chief Chris Clem and the author of Why Bad Looks Good, Prosecutor Wayne.
So we just assume that they're just going to say that it was her fault. She should have gotten out of her car. Police should be able to shoot you if you don't get out of your car. Because we are kind of on that website, right? That's why I stay off of this website. Let's go up to
As he was leaving the White House, I asked him specifically about a lot of the pushback that we're getting from Republicans to this DOJ investigation into the chairman of the Fed. We have heard from a lot of top Republicans questioning this investigation, raising serious concerns that it undermines confidence in the Fed. But the president dismissing those concerns when I asked him about them directly. I asked him if he approves of this investigation, and you heard him there again just railing against Jerome Powell, saying he's either incompetent or crooked. Clearly, we know he doesn't like the job that the chairman has been doing. The question is, does that necessitate or warrant a DOJ investigation? And we have been hearing from so many Republicans who say essentially they better have a smoking gun. As Republican leader John Thune said just a short while ago, you don't trifle with the Fed. They feel that the bar has to be pretty high for an investigation like this, given what it can do to consumer confidence, Elizabeth.
Yeah, some pretty firm pushback there. Mary Bruce at the White House. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Now to the escalating conflict and widespread
Let
protests
Trump decide
in Iran.
what the interest rate should be.
Says help
See what happens.
is on the way, and he's encouraging Iranians to keep challenging the regime.
Yeah, Lando Commando, it's down
earlier
about
today.
70%.
To all Iranian
The Iranian rial
protesting, take over your institutions.
And yeah, it's down. Inflation is skyrocketing.
That are abusing you. You're being very badly abused.
Human rights organization says the death toll is dramatically rising, with at least 2,000 people killed and more than 10,000 arrests. The anti-government protests have grown into some of the biggest in Iran's history.
Why did it drop so bad? Probably because they weren't doing their dailies leave online.
Skyrocketing cost of living. An advisor to Iran's
Supreme
leader put out a statement today declaring President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as, quote, the main
It's been in a bit of a steady decline. By the way, yesterday was the first time in like probably 5 months that I didn't do my dailies and Eve online. It's been quite a rapid decline over the last month or so. I'm not sure what brought it on, but there was a rapid decline, and of course prices skyrocketed. Then it caused a massive inflation. People weren't able to pay for basic goods, even just basic groceries. So of course people got pissed off at the government, and on top of the fact that they're already oppressed, now they've just kind of had enough. So.
In the Iranian capital.
I'm hoping that in the next few days the regime collapses.
Said that absolutely vast crowds on the street. He
spent all the money on TBC boosts,
it was a real
probably.
cross-section of society, so families were going out at the beginning
I
of
almost
the protest.
had that itch. Almost had that itch, Lando.
Classes, people of
I thought, you know what?
genders,
Hardcore TBC, maybe that's
right
interesting.
So he said it was pretty incredible. He said there was a kind of electric atmosphere on the streets in the evening. He wasn't participating in the protest because he said he felt it was too risky to him and his family. Therefore, he was going back to his home once the protest began, but he said he could hear a lot of shooting once he was back at his family apartment, and he says
the ABC is reporting 2,000. Again, I've heard anywhere from 2,000, now 2,000 is the low point, up to 12,000 people have been killed now. And Fox News is reporting that the very first person is going to be put to death for the protests, a public hanging.
Families were just stopping, and he says that there has been a decrease in the number of people going out to the protests, but it's unclear where this goes
Lando,
next.
it's hard to
get a clear picture
protest, so man, when you're got that much of an authoritarian regime that will kill you, it's a lot more courageous to protest there than it is when we're protesting here, right? Like it's completely different. You don't have to worry about dying here. At least where I live.
Starlink terminals in Iran, we don't know how many there are, but there's enough that people are using them to get videos out. Now, experts we spoke to about this say that the US and Elon Musk company have the ability to actually make Starlink satellites more accessible for Iranians, actually directly via their cell phones. And one expert said that actually he reckons that about 20% of Iranians could actually get access to the internet via that option if the US and Elon Musk were effectively to switch that on. Now, that is one thing that they are hoping the US might move on. And look, there's no doubt the crackdown is having an impact. We're seeing evidence that there's more arrests, and also that potentially some people have been arrested, could be executed. The regime we know has a track record of executing people without trial after enforcing confessions from people.
We've got to keep following this on. Tom Sufi Burridge, thanks so much. On Capitol Hill, Republicans are threatening to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusing to testify about Jeffrey Epstein. The former president and former Secretary of State were subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee for separate depositions that were scheduled today and tomorrow, respectively. Former President Clinton did not appear today, and the Clintons' lawyer has not yet said if the former First Lady will show up tomorrow. Clinton sending a letter to the committee, Republican Chairman James Comer, reading in part, quote, "Despite everything that needs to be done to help our country,
but when even
of bringing Congress to a halt
you need to do something or what?
Process
Starve, not eat.
Designed to result in our imprisonment. This is not the way
this
out
is,
of America's
This is going to be a real
ills,
telling
we will
point.
forcefully defend ourselves." Here's what Comer told
a
reporters.
real telling point for Iran. In fact, I'd like to concentrate on Iran. I'm going to be honest. I kind of I'm thinking more about that. Let's watch some Canadian Iranian news.
If we care about human rights, we can't not talk about Iran. The government of Iran is trying to silence Iranian voices from getting their message out, to show the murderous actions of this regime. The people of Iran have been held hostage for 47 years, and they're fighting for their rights. They're fighting for a free, democratic, and secular government in Iran. They want the right to be able to have freedom of expression. And the government has never been weaker, and now's the time to achieve the goal that Iranians for generations have been striving for.
The current movement began in December in the Grand Bazaar of Tehran. Originally, the protests were a reaction to Iran's record-high inflation of more than 50%. But Saeed Engaji, a Windsor IT professional who grew up in Iran, says the situation is about more than that now.
Yeah, it's not a protest anymore.
As we know, this is no longer called an uprising. We consider this a revolution.
Engaji says there's growing urgency and distress among local protesters because of an information blackout imposed by Khamenei's regime. They're certain that crackdowns have occurred, but the human cost is unknown.
There are reports of casualties anywhere from 2,000 to up to 15,000 in the last 72 hours, although it's not easy to verify. When there's an event like this where internet is suspended and the phone service is suspended, that is when crackdowns begin.
Political science professor and Middle East expert Rex Brynan of McGill University says Khamenei has crushed multiple previous uprisings, but there's plenty of reason for Canadians to be paying attention now.
This one just seems to be
Iran
different.
is an important actor. It's a powerful actor in the Gulf region. It can potentially prevent oil from moving through the Straits of Hormuz, the single largest important choke point in the world. A change in government
What's
in
Putin's
Iran
view?
would
Well,
have
obviously he doesn't like
significant
it.
effects on the Middle East.
China
But
doesn't
also
like it
a
either,
collapse of Iran into chaos or to civil war could
I don't
be
think that they're going to
catastrophic.
interfere, but
Most
they don't want to
fundamental
see their
reason to care is
the
'cause
regime
I
in
think we
Iran
should care
fall.
every time that people are protesting for freedom from repression.
Dolson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Anti-regime protesters are chanting Pahlavi will return, calling for the return of Iran's monarchy. Reza Pahlavi is the eldest son of Iran's last Shah, and he's been in exile for nearly 50 years after his father and Iran's monarchy was overthrown in the Islamic Revolution in 1979. Nassim Narizi studies resistance movements.
Pahlavi's kind of like has this romanticized, sentimentalized notion of there was this past that we really liked and we need to go to that.
So what role is Reza Pahlavi playing in these protests? Well, for years, Pahlavi has called for change in the country. He's done this particularly
The worry is that he
in
wants to
times
take
of
control
unrest,
again.
like the 2022 protests over the death of Mahsa Amini, who died in the custody of Iran's morality police after being arrested for allegedly not wearing her headscarf properly. But this time he sent out messages over social media, and he's told Iranians that he is ready to lead a transition. In a recent op-ed in the Washington Post, he wrote, and I quote, "I have therefore stepped forward to lead and serve in that capacity, not as a ruler in waiting, but as the steward of a national transition to democracy." But it's not as simple as that. It's hard to gauge exactly how much support Pahlavi has. And as Maral Karimi says, he's widely seen as a divisive figure.
You have to understand his legacy. His father and his grandfather both established a
The
very
history of his
brutal
family is
reign.
pretty interesting.
Many
Actually, I was
people
looking
who are
through it
alive and well today
yesterday after
remember
stream.
those times. Many people don't think that going back to a monarchy is viable in 2026.
I don't know that he's
But according
talking about
to
going
Iranian
back to
security and defense expert
monarchy, though.
Fazin Nadimi, some supporters view his family's legacy in a more positive light.
Both Prince Reza Pahlavi's father and grandfather initiated and continued westernization of Iranians, very traditional Iranian societies. They built up infrastructure, they built up universities. So there are a lot of supporters within the older generations of Iranians who remember, who feel have nostalgic feelings of that era.
And for young people in support of Pahlavi, Nadimi says he represents a high-profile alternative to the current regime.
He has the character.
Basically, they're realizing that
international
what they had
character
before is better than what they've got now.
An envoy of change in Iran.
But many worry his beliefs are not suitable to lead the country.
Many fear that his attitude and those around him and his supporters are not truly democratic. He has flip-flopped oftentimes on his political position. He has even gone as far as supporting and encouraging attacks on Iranian soil.
Narizi believes that he is far from an ideal candidate, but the lack of alternatives means he is garnering a lot of attention.
There's no other names that are coming
at the end
up.
of the day, it comes
That's the
back
problem.
to saying, all right, what is the thing that I can lean on these days that is,
They don't have any other options.
clean and looks far beyond, far different from the current establishment that is on the ground. So I see a lot of psychological factors in this as well.
The foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland will meet with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio
this is
in
the
Washington
Denmark stuff.
tomorrow. The meeting comes as President Donald Trump
Greenland.
pushes to take
Apparently,
control
the Prime
of
Minister
the
of
Arctic
Greenland
territory. The Danish minister
came out today and said that they want to stay with Greenland, or they want to stay with Denmark. They want nothing to do with the U.S.
Claiming the U.S. needs the island for national security reasons. The CBC's Mark Carcaswell joins me now on set, and he's tracking the developments on this situation involving Greenland. So, Mark, Greenland and Denmark took a strong stance today with some pretty strong messaging.
Yeah, they did, and they made it clear that they stand in solidarity and that if Donald Trump wants Greenland, essentially he's not going to get it willingly. They're not just going to hand it over or sell things over. The prime ministers of Greenland and Denmark held a news conference today in which they reinforced the fact that they are together on this and insisted insisted that the territory is not for sale. In fact, Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen
I'm
told
50-50 on whether or not
that
Iran's going
would
to
choose
collapse.
Denmark
I
over
hope
the
they
U.S.
do.
Here is the quote that is being floated around, translated. He says, quote, "One thing
Hopefully
must be
do.
clear to everyone. Greenland does not want to be owned by the U.S. Greenland does not want to be governed by the U.S. Greenland does not want to be part of the U.S. We choose the Greenland we know today, which is a part of the Kingdom of Denmark." And this is the message that they are bringing into those meetings with their foreign ministers, as well as U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio tomorrow at the White House. Naya Nathanielson is a minister in Greenland's government. She was being hosted by UK politicians at Westminster today. She was also asked several questions about the situation and the impending meeting by British media. She talked about what she expects to come out of the meeting tomorrow. The key thing here, she's calling for peace and dialogue.
And I cannot speak to the agenda of this meeting. I can say that what we hope for is more clarity and to better understand the differences that might be between us and figure out how can we move forward in a way that does not include force. That is what we are aiming for in the meeting tomorrow.
So again, that meeting tomorrow taking place at the White House with the U.S. Vice President and Secretary of State and the foreign official.
Here's a question I have for you guys. I saw somebody in an interview, they were saying that, you think Donald Trump's got the idea that if he gets into a war, that he will not have to have the midterm elections? Do you think that's something that is floating through his head because Russia didn't have to do it, the Ukraine didn't have to do it? You know, now that Ukraine's in a war, they haven't had to have elections. Do you think Donald Trump's got this idea in his head that he doesn't have to hold elections, midterm elections, if he gets into a war with someone?
And was asked multiple questions about the situation.
I
He
feel like it's
wouldn't really
maybe
give a
unreal
straight
how
answer to
Americans
anything.
are
In part,
so stupid to vote
he
for him.
spoke in a lot of generalities, but here is one of the
Gonna
comments he made. Two
gonna
questions
try and
about the U.S.
play neutral here next, but I'm not obviously not a fan of Trump.
To the protection of
Not a fan.
the Arctic, we have to work together. And that's exactly what we are doing. Then, of course, I'm never commenting when there are discussions.
I know it's part of the
between allies.
Constitution,
That's not-
Onobu. I know it's part of the Constitution. You know it's part of the Constitution. Does he know it's part of the Constitution, or do you think this is something that he's looking at? Like, we've talked about this before. Do you think there's a chance that the midterm elections somehow get canceled? Like, is this maybe a play by him? And even if they do have them, if the Republicans lose the elections, is Trump going to be able to accept that, or is he going to pull another January 6th and basically say, no, this is garbage. This didn't happen. There's election fraud. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 50-50 on whether or not there's not going to be some major, like, story going on when the elections happen, if they happen at all. I'm positive that he's going to say that there's election fraud if he loses. Whether or not he actually abides by the results or not, that we'll have to wait and see.
You think will help us, and some people have complied. They have sent in some material that the county attorney's office is sorting through right now. They're also waiting on a full report from the coroner to try to help in this investigation.
And the way all his helper are always giggling when he's talking about being serious, taking Greenland by force. I mean, he's really kind of pushed all of his allies away. I mean, today, the leader of Canada is in China right now negotiating trade deals with China. So we can do more trade with China and less with the U.S. Like, in what world does that make sense? You know, 10 years ago, if you told me that, I'd be like, you're nuts. But here we are. By the way, guys, those of you that are on YouTube, if you haven't already, do me a solid and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am trying to get a presence there as well. So a lot of my videos, I'm live streaming there right now. All my videos, all my clips will be posted there. That's a new channel. So I'm just kind of getting it up and started. If you are interested in seeing some of my clips there, that's where they'll be. What is this sound? don't mention Alaska. Maybe Trump wants it as well. Do you think that Trump doesn't realize that the U.S. and Russia are already neighbors? See that comment the other day? It was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to be neighbors with Russia? You already are. Like, what are you talking about here? What is this? This is more. Let's go to there. About Iran.
Was ironically on
I want to pay a lot of
January 8th
attention to
when,
Iran because
that's when the
think there's a
Iranian
good chance
government triggered the internet
the
blackout
regime
in the
could
country.
fall in the
But
next
on that
coming
day,
days.
A user tagged Nikita Beer, the head of product at X, with that same request, and Beer replied, "Give me a few hours." And in fact, 24 hours later, users on the platform began talking about the change that they were seeing in
I did not
terms
bet
of
on
the
it.
flag.
I
Now,
don't make a
regarding
lot
the
of
reactions,
bets
the
myself.
reactions truthfully
What's
have
the
been
that betting
pretty mixed.
website that
Many
people are always
users
quoting?
are saying kudos to the X team for making this change. Thank you for doing so, or saying that Musk is therefore giving power back to the people by making this change. But other reactions are more cautious and more critical. Some are saying that Musk has no right to change the flag of any country.
One
on
thing
his
I noticed
platform
is that
based
no,
on
I think
the
Steve
likes
Miller's
and
behind a lot of it.
dislikes,
Anobu.
of someone who runs a social media
Holy market,
platform.
thank you. I think
Others say
Anobu,
that
or
he's
I think Steve
unilaterally
Miller is behind a
rewriting
lot of
nation's
these ideas.
symbolic identity, accusing him of freestyle meddling, and saying that in the end they believe that this is in fact a dangerous move. Now,
I think he's
what
the
this flag
Trump
change and this
whisperer.
automatic
Personally,
flag change has meant. It's meant that many of the official institutional accounts of the Iranian government bearing those flags in its names or its bios or profiles,
well,
it meant
what's
that
Pauly
these
Market's
flags
odds?
automatically changed to the pre-revolutionary lion and sun flag, and users noted that quickly those same institutional accounts quickly removed the flag altogether to avoid having it there.
And finally, how useful then is this latest intervention by X, Vedika?
Right now,
could
it's
it have any impact?
about 12%.
Honestly, Sharon, it is
12%
quite
chance.
unlikely. From what we can see, this change of flag on X all sort of kicked off around January 8th, as I said, the day that the Iranian government triggered that internet blackout in the country. So it is unlikely that any protesters on the ground are actually even able to see this change.
Oh,
it
is
54%
by
praised by critics of the government, but analysts are debating the extent that this could actually impact the protest movement. Now, you could argue that no, it is helping because
I'm gonna be honest. I would be shocked if this lasted that long. That's a long time for the citizens to be like oppressed and like being killed by the army and stuff like that. I think it will be resolved before then. Like, just my opinion,
by
but
his company,
that's a long time for the citizens to be
bypass the internet ban in the country,
doing this revolution,
and
internet,
although,
now they're getting murdered by the government.
The Iranian government has been using military jammers to block access to Starlink signals.
Internet,
in recent days.
Iran triggering internet blackout is wild. That's admitting.
Well,
Well, they are definitely trying to control the population.
With Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei posted on the platform earlier this month, "We will not give in to the enemy." And Musk, Sharon, replied in Persian, in Farsi, with an idiom that translates to false illusion or delusional thinking. So we have seen a little clash on his own platform there. But that's all we know at this point.
Thank you.
What do you think the chances are that Khomeini is actually the person who wrote that on Twitter? What do you think the chances are that he wrote that? Oh, let's see here. Why is that channel always Becky's mom?
Than ever before.
Let's see what Trump is talking about here.
If they had what was called the Great Tariff Act of 1887 or something like that.
Some dude in the U.S. Is it really?
People like yourselves, they picked really.
They don't have anyone in Iran that could be. Although they don't have any internet right now. How did he tweet that? They don't have any internet.
Panama Canal was the single biggest investment, relatively speaking, that this country's ever made. Would be the equivalent of trillions of dollars today. And Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1. It was also the most profitable thing ever built. In other words, like buildings or casinos or anything, the most profitable thing ever built was the Panama Canal. And brilliantly, Jimmy Carter thought the country of Panama should have it. Even though we lost 36,000.
Apparently, they've got Starlink. They don't have Starlink because the government basically cracks down on it, and essentially, if you get caught using Starlink, you could get killed for it. So Fox News announced today that they are going to be hanging someone today, public hanging. It's one of the protesters or something like that. So, but apparently it's something you can get into a lot of trouble using Starlink. And apparently there's a picture that I saw earlier of a shipment of Starlink satellites that they found in a truck. So let's assume that there was more than one truckload coming across, but it looks like somebody's bringing satellites into the country. But if you're caught using one, you could be in some serious trouble.
And middlemen, and Scott went over that with us before.
It's like a sponge bath on his face. What the? Let's see what else is going on here. And Russia claims 6 new territorial gains. Okay, this is still a protest. This is probably the big news story in Canada right now, besides our Prime Minister being in China.
Tow truck turf war.
Someone said tow truck turf war. This is honestly probably the big story in Canada right now. That's how boring Canadian news is. If it's not to do with hockey, or our Prime Minister being somewhere, it's stuff like this. Like people are torching fire trucks.
Gone away from Moscow now, reportedly the worst in 70 years, and the cold isn't extreme anywhere. In fact, temperatures have risen in Portugal and in France. They're temporarily.
We need the. You guys ever see the Mexican weather girls?
It looks like another storm system is brewing off the Brest Peninsula and towards Cornwall, the southwest of England, whilst most of the rest.
Or
of
like
Europe
the
is
Greek
quiet.
weather
And
girls that they have doing this.
here's the forecast. That's a typical picture in the middle of Europe.
Okay, weather's bad. Okay, we get it. Why is everyone on commercial right now? Oh, it's 1:30. It's 1:30. We've seen that. English news, more weather. All right, so it looks like we're just gonna go to the protests here. Kind of look at that for a second here. Trudeau finally gone? Don't know Canadian politics. Yes, Trudeau's been gone for about a year now. And our new leader is Mark Carney. He's very popular. But Justin Trudeau is now dating Katy Perry. They've been dating for several months now. Katy Perry has been like posting pictures of them together on some yacht or something on vacation. That is, I'm not kidding you, dude. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, hold on, I'll look it up. Katy Perry. I'm not kidding you guys. Here it is. They're madly in love. Justin Trudeau's kids must be just ecstatic. He's worth like $1 billion, man. And his wife just divorced him too. Hey, you can't make. You guys didn't know this? This is like the. I have no idea how they met. But they've been dating now for months. And I think it was about 2 years ago or something like that Justin Trudeau's wife and him got divorced. It was while he was still Prime Minister. But I don't think this had anything to do with it. But yeah, they started dating, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. Just so you guys hit. Yeah, he'd kind of run his course, dude. He'd served 3 terms as Prime Minister, which is a really, really long time. It's hard to serve more than 2 terms and not be absolutely hated by the end of your 3rd term. But I mean, he was winning the elections, right? So he was more popular than the alternative. But yeah, eventually your population just gets tired of someone being around for so long. And he stepped down as the leader of the political party that was in power. The way politics works in Canada is you don't vote for your prime minister, you vote for the party, and whoever the leader of that party is then becomes prime minister. It's kind of a bit of a different way of doing it, but I mean I think that's the way they do it in England and stuff like that. But anyways, he became unpopular here, and the leader of the opposition is a guy named Pierre Poilievre, and he was looking like he was going to win in a landslide vote, but that was primarily because people just hated Justin Trudeau so much. Not that they liked Pierre Poilievre, they just needed we needed something different. And so Justin Trudeau stepped down, and a new guy came along, who's very well respected in the banking community, in economics. Like he's known as like an economic genius basically, and he got elected as the leader of the party that Justin Trudeau was the leader of. So when he won that leadership race, he became the Prime Minister of Canada. He became the leader of the country. And then they immediately held an election, or relatively quickly held an election, because when you take over as leader of the country, when you weren't the leader of the party when it won the election, it's kind of like you got to call an election so people can have their say, right? Anyways, the polls went from this Pierre Poilievre guy who was up by like 25 points. Like he should have won by a landslide, and just immediately shifted to our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. And that was primarily because Pierre Poilievre really doesn't have any experience. He's never had a job before politics, and he basically comes across as a dick. Like his personality just rubs people the wrong way. He doesn't come across as an incredibly bright guy, basically. And Mark Carney came along, and it was like, oh my God, we have an option besides this dickhead who's never had a job before. So immediately the polls just shifted over, and Mark Carney won the election, which is almost unheard of because his party now has won the election 4 times in a row. And that is very uncommon in Canada. It's very uncommon, but that just shows how much people dislike this Pierre Poilievre guy. And I don't think that they will ever win an election with him as their party leader. I've said that many times. I voted for their party in many elections in the past. I will not vote for them. And like many other Canadians, obviously, who are just like, I'm not voting for that party until they get rid of their leader. But anyways, that's a little history on Canadian politics. It's run kind of similarly to how British politics are run. Same method, basically. Anyways, we're back to the protests here. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on? Well, screw you. I've got another. Why did that stop now? What's going on here? Both feeds are down? Okay, well, I guess we'll have to go to something else. I'll have to go to something else until the feed comes back up. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know what is. Oh, he's talking about Iran now.
Institutions, if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused.
Human rights organization says the death toll
going
is
over that ICE case and explaining that the law isn't how it is likely to play out.
More than 10,000.
I've seen a few. I've seen the ones that I've seen. Maybe you've seen others, but the ones that I've seen have basically said that what they were doing was illegal to begin with, and these guys could get charged. I don't think anything's going to happen to them until Trump's out of office. Like I think I saw that the state of Minnesota is going to lay charges. Were they attorneys? Yes. Yes, they were. And I can't remember where I saw them, but it was basically they were showing that they had no jurisdiction to basically, even do a traffic stop there. So I don't know. Did you see oh, the live event is ended. Oh, apparently this guy's packing up his camera. But anyways, I saw that the state of, I think I saw something that the state of Minnesota is filing charges. But the guy's gone into hiding now. I don't know if anyone knows where he is, and I don't know that the Trump administration is going to actually do anything to try and help bring the guy to face charges. Bids of defense attorneys explain the self-defense situation and what the ICE agent will most likely plead. And what did they say? That he's going to plead that he was... The one that I saw was talking about like showing where he fired the first shot from, which was from beside the car. He wasn't in front of the car anymore. And that the person was turning away. And there's also... he was talking about how... the training for officers across the country is specifically that you draw your weapon as a last resort. And he'd drawn his weapon before she'd even gotten out of the car, or before she'd even moved the car forward or anything. Like that he. Anyways, that's just, I don't know enough about the law to actually really know exactly how it would work within the law. I don't think that he's going to face any charges, though. Even if it is against the law, I don't think that he's ever going to face criminal charges. So I know that they had a GoFundMe page, and I did see a lot of people that were suggesting that you need to, people need to try and go to the GoFundMe page and have it taken down, because you're not supposed to be raising funds for somebody that's done a violent act or something like that. Like apparently it's against GoFundMe's policies. So I don't know if anything became of that. I did see that it looked like he'd had about 400,000 in donations, which I was honestly shocked. I thought it would have been higher than that, but.
And one expert said that actually, but he reckons that about 20% of Iranians could actually get access to the internet via that option if the US and Elon Musk were effectively to switch that on. Now, that is one thing that they are hoping the US might move on. And look,
why would they not move on that?
The crackdown is having an impact. We're seeing, evidence that there's more arrests, and also that potentially some people have been arrested, could be executed. The regime we know has a track record of executing people without trial after enforcing confessions.
Take like 18 months for it to play out.
Got to keep following this on. Tom Sufi-Burridge, thanks so much.
I don't think you're going to see any
on Capitol Hill. Republicans are
charges
threatening
until
to hold
after
Bill and Hillary
Trump's
Clinton
out of office.
In contempt of Congress for refusing to testify about Jeffrey Epstein, the former president and former Secretary of State.
I just have no faith
were
in
subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee
it anymore.
For separate depositions that were scheduled today and tomorrow, respectively. Former President Clinton did not appear today, and the Clintons' lawyer has not yet said if the former First Lady will show up tomorrow. Clinton.
What is going on with these streams? What is honestly going on?
Sending a letter to the committee, Republican Chairman James Comer reading in part.
Vote to clear out of the committee. It's a Republican-controlled committee, and we also expect.
I don't have any faith in the American
charges for Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State,
system anymore.
She's got a date to testify tomorrow. And
like they could just not do stuff and nothing happens to them. They're supposed to release the Epstein files. They haven't done that yet. Nothing's going to happen.
The Speaker would have to decide whether or not he was going to put on the floor, and it has the full House vote, yay or nay, on whether the Clinton should be held in contempt of Congress. If that vote is successful, which we expect that it might be because it's a Republican-controlled House, then it refers them to the Department of Justice for the DOJ to decide.
So, like they've already been ordered to release the Epstein files. They're not doing it. They'll probably say, "Oh, we're pressing charges against this guy. He needs to come forward." I don't think he ever will.
Controlled committee on Capitol Hill and potentially the Department of Justice. Now, what the Clintons are saying here is that they believe
at least not as
differently than other witnesses in this.
Not while Kash Patel is head of the FBI. How are they? If he goes to another state where they're they're pro-Republican, who's going to arrest him? Who's going to arrest the guy if he suddenly pops up in, I don't know, Tennessee or a deep red state? Who's going to arrest him? Who's going to bring him back to Minnesota to face charges? The FBI is not going to do it. I don't even know if they can do it. I don't know enough about. I'm assuming the FBI can arrest people, but and take them across state lines and stuff like that. In fact, maybe that is exactly who would supposed to be doing it. But with Kash Patel as the person that's running the FBI, like, do you honestly see the FBI going to wherever this guy is and arresting him and taking him back to Minnesota? They probably know where he is right now. He's in hiding. They probably know exactly where he's at.
And Maxwell in the early to mid 2000s. And the Clintons also say that in their view, this subpoena is, according to that joint statement they both signed, quote, invalid and legally unenforceable. So that gives you a bit of a snapshot of the legal argument that they may make if it goes all the way to court. But again, Elizabeth, you were looking at an unprecedented potential showdown between two high-profile Democrats, again, a former president and a former Secretary of State.
Basically, the GOP has power for. We were talking about maybe you just missed this, Anobu. We were talking about this earlier. Do you think that you're going to have midterm elections? I'm being serious when I ask that question, and I know it's in your constitution, but the point was posed earlier. Do you think that Trump could be looking at the possibility of getting into a war, thinking, not realizing, that it doesn't matter that there has to be elections even because of the Constitution? Or do you think that he could get away with not having a war because in Ukraine they're not having elections right now? And if they do have elections for the midterms and the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, or one or the other, do you think that Trump's going to be able to accept that, or is he going to come up with some BS reason as to why they lost it? And declare that there was voter fraud and stuff like that? What's going to happen? It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the midterm elections, because I'm not so sure that Trump is going to either A, allow them, or B, accept the results.
Lower courts decided the bans discriminated on the basis of sex.
BBC News.
Costs at the Fed's headquarters. He says the investigation is part of a Donald Trump
campaign. You think you will have midterms?
To lower interest.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't have any. I like I said. Sure. Maybe you will have midterms, but if the Republicans lose, what do you think Trump's going to do? Serious question. If the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, how do you think Trump's going to react? He will declare it's voter fraud every time if he doesn't win. He's going to. So what's going to happen then? Who's going to have the power if they lose? Because I saw a quote. You remember that quote from Game of Thrones where I can't remember the girl's name. It was man, what's her name? The girl that was supposed to marry Cersei's son. And she said Cersei basically said Cersei knows the what the punishment will be, and she's not here regardless. I saw somebody basically use that quote, but talking about Donald Trump. He knows what the punishment will be for the things that he's doing once he loses the House, but he's still going through with his stuff. So this guy was presuming that it's almost as though Donald Trump just already knows that he's not going to suffer those consequences. And why would he know that? Like, do you think Trump is up to something where he already knows, like, the elections are fixed, or he's just not going to accept them, he's going to seize control? Because I honestly think that over the course of the next 10 months till the midterms, you're going to see Trump like completely ramp up all the stuff that he's doing. If you think it's crazy now, I think the next 10 months are going to be absolutely nuts with the stuff that he tries to do. Because he knows he's only got 10 months before those midterms. Asking who will have political power? Can you? Yes. I know that technically the Democrats would have power as far as the House and the Senate if they win the House and the Senate. But do you think he's going to accept those results? Or do you think he's going to try and hold on to power? That's the question. Because it's almost a foregone conclusion. I guess technically, there's a very, 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 very strong chance that Trump does not win the midterms. It's almost always the case that the president, for his last 2-year term, part of his term, will lose the House, lose the Senate, and basically be a sitting duck president. Is Trump going to accept that? You guys think he will accept? I feel like we need to revisit this in 10 months when it happens. I think we're gonna have to revisit this because I almost feel like there's just he already does way too much crazy crap that I can't believe that he would allow the midterms to come and go, him lose power and him just go, okay, I lost, fair and square, okay, congratulations. I just don't see him doing it. I just don't see him doing it. There's no way the GOP will keep the House. We just might maybe possibly eke out holding on to the Senate. Just maybe, but highly unlikely. But you think that he's going to just throw up his hands and say, okay, you won? I just can't see that. Here's my problem with the ICE protest. Government will always be flawed. Law enforcement will always be flawed. I get that people freak out about overstepping their bounds, but isolated cases of Fed and police abuse pale in comparison to the overall threats facing society. Civilian versus civilian violence, drug, that has nothing to do with the death. Dragoon, you just wrote like a whole paragraph that has nothing to do with his death. Has nothing to do with whether or not this should have happened or shouldn't have happened. Like the question is just, it's very black and white. Should she have died? No, it didn't go over my head, dude. It did not go over my head. I'm making the point that it like, okay, we get all this other stuff also happens. But we're looking at this one individual case. You can't then just go and start arguing, oh, well, we got to look at this and we got to look at that. No. It's every case is looked at individually. Okay? Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that there's drug overdoses or civilian versus civilian violence. Was her death, like, necessary? And I don't, like, forget about the whole should she have gotten her out of her car or anything like that. They escalated the situation with her and turned it into a situation where somebody died. I'm not completely missing the point. I'm just disagreeing with you, Dragoon. She should never have, under any circumstances, driven a car into a federal agent. That's my personal opinion. That officer said, get out of the car. Tries to stop her from leaving, and then she just slams on the gas pedal and drove into a federal agent. You know that it's also I think it's a law, but it's also taught that you are not allowed to fire upon a moving car. Isn't that in officer training? Like officer training 101, don't get in front of the vehicle. And also, he fired on the vehicle when he was beside the car, not in front of it. So he was already out of harm's way. Thirdly, when an officer has to report his use of his handgun, he has to report on every single bullet that he fires and why he fired that shot. So you can't just say, well, I fired all 3 shots because she was driving towards me. First of all, the first shot he fired, he was already beside the car. And the second and third shots, he was beside her driver's side window and they're pulling away. So he's got no argument for that. He was already beside the car and in no danger when he fired the second and third shot. Lando, she clearly wasn't trying to run him over. You can see that she pulled back, went reverse, and then made a turn to the right to avoid him. It doesn't matter if he's struck by the car or Nobu. It does not matter that he was struck by the car. He was barely struck by the car, and when he decided to fire his gun, he was beside the car. So he was already out of harm's way. So it matters for self-defense. It wasn't self-defense anymore when he fired the shot. That's my point. He was already beside the car. You can rewatch the video as many times as you want, but when he fired the first shot, he was beside the car. He was beside the car. No, he fired the shot when she was... Okay, I can't believe we have to go over this video 1,000th time. He was literally... Here, I'm just going to show you this because it's just easier for me to show you the still picture. Here. This is a still of every point that he was standing when he fired the shots. And we can rewatch the video if you want. I will literally go frame by frame like I already have 20 times on this stream. These are where his feet are when he fired each shot. He's beside the car. And the vehicle, as you can see from the wheels, is moving away from him. So, yes, maybe he initially hit him. But yeah, he barely got hit if he got hit. It's not like he got slammed at 50 kilometers an hour, dude. Like, let's not make excuses for the guy. He fired. There's no doubt he fired on her from the side of the car. I've seen all the video angles on Nobu. That does not matter. He fired upon her when he was beside the car. I get that she may have hit him. I'm not disputing that she may have hit him. The point is that when he fired his first shot, he was out of harm's way at that point. It does not matter where he was before or after. It does not matter if she almost killed him. At the point when he fired the shot, he was out of harm's way, and that is the only thing that needs to be discussed. He was already out of harm's way. Dice Agent is a pussy. He is. Devil Storm Mafia. Sorry, I haven't seen you around here in a bit, dude. Your name is so dark. I didn't actually read who it was first. Are you talking about the video that was taken from like down the street, or the one that was across the corner, across from another house across the street? Because I've seen like tons of different angles. But we've watched this video, which actually shows when he fired the first shot, and this is the still from that video and where he's standing, and you can clearly see he's beside the vehicle. Like, what is that? What is that famous line about the government? God, I have to look up George Orwell now. What is the quote about the government tricks you with your eyes or whatever? Somebody remind me of that quote. But this is literally what's going on here. You can see from the fucking video and the still shots that he's beside the car. Why are you allowing your eyes to be tricked? It's literally right there. Dragoon, I didn't even bring it up. What are you talking about? I didn't even bring this up. I've moved on from this. I even said, dude, I fucking cannot believe we're going back to this when it's very clear that he fired upon her from beside the vehicle. There is no debate about that anymore. There's no body cam footage. They don't have body cam cameras. He was filming from his phone. And I've seen the video footage from both down the street and also the one from across the street. And this one here is the one where you can actually hear all three shots. And this one here, the left side, is the still shot of where he was standing when that shot went off. And he is beside the vehicle. He is no longer in any harm. And on top of that, she was doing like 5 kilometers an hour at that point. Hey, I don't know about you, but if he's standing 2 feet in front of her when she pumps the gas, she's not doing 100 kilometers an hour when she hits him. His life was not in danger. He's standing right by the front left wheel. So he's still in front of the windshield, which is why the first shot went through the windshield. And then as the vehicle went further, he basically executed her right through the window, which first of all is illegal. Oh, his ego was in danger for sure. That's exactly what it is. His ego was for sure in danger. he was furious that this lady's wife was pissing him off, and he got angry. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry this doesn't fit your narrative, but these are the facts. This is exactly where he was standing when he fired the first shot. He's in front of the windshield, but he's beside the front left wheel well. That's exactly where he's standing. Popped it right through the glass. The first one through the glass probably didn't hit her in the head, but do you want to... These ones here sure did, where he's sticking his arm basically into the wind. Look at this. Is his life still in danger here? Is his life still in danger here? Where he's firing the second and third shots. As far as your, like, this is your first shot. I would even argue that here, where she's probably only doing about 10 kilometers an hour, like, you're not dying from that. I'm sorry. And when he was standing in front, he could see that she turned her wheel well. We've seen that. We've all seen that video, right? He took the recording of it. You can clearly see that she turned the wheel away from him. If she was trying to run him over, she would have turned the wheel to the left, not to the right. But we all saw that, right? Like, our eyes are not fooling us, folks. What is the George Orwell quote? Can't believe I forget this right now. Eyes. What is that quote? You guys have all read 1984, right? Like, I'm not... The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. We've all seen or read 1984, right? Like, this is... It's right there, dude. Like, why are you allowing yourself to be tricked? He got dragged 100 meters in a past incident, so he had some PTSD from cars. It's not an excuse. Doesn't matter. I personally think that they're not trained properly, and they shouldn't be. She clearly wasn't obstructing anything. They were pulling a U-turn on a two-way street because the street up ahead was blocked from all the cars and stuff that were up there. I'm going to to tell me what I believe. I can't see. Where was this attorney on? What news source was this attorney on too? I'm kind of curious about where you saw this attorney. But this here, I mean, we've watched the video and I've stopped it on the exact point where we could see the shot go off, and it was very clear where the shot went off. And then these are stills from the second and the third shot. And I will remind you that, like, if this shot here, where it went through the windshield in the bottom left corner, that one probably didn't hit her in the head. This one probably didn't hit her in the head. This one and this one here most certainly probably did. One of those two of them did. Which means at this point, where he's not in any danger and he's basically executing her, that is murder. Like, anyways.
A big price. He also cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials and urged demonstrators to, as he put it, take over your institutions. Well, Trump addressed reporters just a couple of moments ago and asked...
Just a criminal defense attorney with his own channel.
How he plans to deal with Iran.
But Iran is on my mind when I see the kind of death.
You missed the ISK giveaway?
Happening over there.
Wait until I'm streaming EVE Online. I'll be doing them again.
20 minutes. We'll get some accurate numbers as to what's happening with regard to the killing. The
I
killing
might.
looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain.
I'd like to get back to streaming EVE Online during my evening streams. I might take tonight off. Tomorrow, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm going to be honest with you. It's Alodar's 51st anniversary of his trip around the sun tomorrow. So I know you were just kidding. I'm just kind of, I know a lot of you guys watch me for EVE Online. I'm actually really itching to get back into streaming EVE Online regularly, but yeah, tomorrow, like I'm itching to stream like every day these days. Like I'm really enjoying doing this news thing, and I love playing EVE Online. It's just a matter of like how much time do I have in a day. And of course, you guys have heard that I'm also looking for a job, so I'm trying to get that sorted out as well. Tomorrow, though, I would love to say that I'm just going to stream all day, but there's also other things that I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to take myself out to have a steak tomorrow or something, just for something different. But there could be something major that happens tomorrow, and I might be just like, you know what? I need to do this. There is also my 8-hour front page stream that's coming on Saturday. Let me ask you guys, since you guys are here, and I know a lot of you guys watch both. Like a lot of you watch the EVE Online stuff. Would you rather see me do an 8-hour stream on EVE Online or an 8-hour stream on the news stuff? Because I'm kind of up in the air. I had originally planned on doing EVE Online, and really kind of doing my best to try and promote that game. And I've reached out to CCP, but they haven't even gotten back to me. They haven't even gotten back to me. They've, seemed to, they haven't really shown any interest in, I'm like, listen, I'm going to devote my entire stream to helping promote your product, and they haven't responded at all. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it, but Macy wants Eve for Eve, but prefer whatever you enjoy more. I enjoy both. I think personally, for me as a content creator, I'm kind of looking to do a variety of things, like, well, primarily Eve and also this news thing. If I'm worried about like wanting to actually see where I can take streaming, I should probably worry more about doing this just chatting stuff, even though I get obviously far less viewers. I lose followers every time I do a stream. Like there's no question. I know I'll look at the end of the stream and go, okay, yeah, I have 10 less followers than I did when I started the stream. Talk to Ozzy, know some people. Well, I mean, I've reached out to several of the CCP guys on Discord, and they haven't even bothered to reply to me. Like, even just reply and say, yeah, no, sorry, we can't help you out. It's just like, I feel like I'm almost getting like Blizzard vibes from them. It's like, like, I'm trying to help you promote your product, dude. Like, throw me a bone here. The contentious stuff, the news stuff, it is. I understand that. And if people want to unfollow, that's fine. I'm not, this is, like, the news stuff is kind of stuff that's a passion of mine. Oh! Why did I not hear that? Oh, is it not just not come up yet, maybe? Anyways, thank you very much, dude. But thank you very much. What was that on? Why did I not hear that? Did you guys get a notification for that? I did not get a notification, but I saw it. Thank you. Soulinger, thank you very much for the $5, dude. Now I'm gonna have steak tomorrow. Thank you very much, dude. Okay, I don't know, Soulinger, you did it on Twitch. Why did I not hear that then? Why did we not hear that? Oh, you know what? I think I might maybe know what it is. I'll have to look at it later. Let me mark down. Let me make a note that did not pop up, or I did not hear it. I think I know why though, but I'm not going to spend a second to fix it, because honestly, I don't get that many donations at all. So I probably don't have to worry about it for the rest of the stream, but I do appreciate that. But I do want to mark down I think I know why. Wise guy, what's up, dude? What do you mean slacker? What are you talking about? I've got my resume to go. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I think I'm gonna drive over and hand it in. So how's it going, man? I had to get my cousin and my uncle's I had to get my uncle's contact phone number because I didn't have it, but I also didn't have his official title down where you work, because I wanted to give what their official position was before I handed in the resume with the references. So, but I got that late last night, so I've just got to finish the resume and then hand it in. But tomorrow's my birthday, so I think for my birthday I'm going to actually go hand in my resume at that place. So, what are you doing home? It's 2:00, dude. You already home, or are you at work? Anyways. This quote that I gave to you guys, though, I'm sure you guys have all heard. Has anyone here not at least seen the movie 1984? Like, you probably should all have read the book in high school, right? But has anyone not either read the book or seen the movie 1984 and seen this clip or seen this quote? Like, it's a really famous quote from 1984, but hopefully you guys have at least seen the movie. I would strongly suggest you do at least watch the movie, if not read the book. But I've done both. But anyways, it's good nonetheless. Let's watch some more Iranian protests here.
Against the security forces, when you're killing perhaps thousands of your own people, how much more emboldening could that be? Killing tens of thousands? I think at that point the country would be in flames.
There's growing concern about Trump's threats against
By the
Iran,
way,
but officials in Qatar say
the rumors are now that there could be upwards of 10 to 12,000 people, possibly as high as 10 to 12,000 people that have been killed in these in this revolution now.
Soft military action are raising concern among regional states. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesman said his country is participating in efforts to diffuse tension.
The talks continue, our calls continue. There is no specific effort that I can point to right now, but we are involved in talking to all parties.
So Qatar is
neighbors and our
usually the mediator between countries like Iran and the United States. Usually they go through a country like Qatar. Qatar is usually the country they use, actually.
Issue, and also called on Israel
Qatar, I think it's pronounced officially Qatar.
The deal in Gaza. Ali Hashim, Al Jazeera, Doha.
there has been a flurry of reaction to the situation in Iran. Russia says threats of new military strikes are categorically unacceptable and condemns interference in Iran's internal affairs. The European Union and the UK have announced plans to further sanction Iran over these protests. The UK, Italy and Germany have all summoned the Iranian ambassadors over the crackdown on protesters.
Yeah, I think I've actually fixed the sound.
At the moment, I'm concerned about the news of increasing violence of the police. The
Qatar,
so-called
is it
revolutionary
Qatar?
guard in
Okay.
Iran, against its own population. I'm taking this opportunity to once
Yeah, I
again
think we
call on
learned
the
that when
mullah
they
regime
had
to
the
stop this violence immediately.
World
If
Cup
the
there,
regime
right?
can only maintain its
How to
power
properly
through
pronounce
violence,
it?
then it's effectively finished. I assume that we are now seeing the last days and weeks of this regime.
We're going to bring you some breaking
I mean,
news
if the Germans
now
are
that's,
thinking
come
it's
through
the
just in
last
the
days.
past few minutes or so, the U.S. State Department has issued an
By the way, guys, again, this is my new YouTube channel for all the news content that we're bringing you. It's going to have all my clips, any video reviews that I do, and also my live streams, which I am currently doing right now. If you have not subscribed, do me a favor, subscribe to that channel. Would appreciate it. Just started it like a week ago.
Armenia if they can do so safely. Well, To Gaza now. Collapsing tents and hypothermia are killing more Palestinians as winter worsens in the Strip. Many Palestinians lack the shelter needed to survive frequent winter storms. Israel has restricted aid from the Strip, leaving many families out in the cold. Tarek Abu-Azum reports from Gaza City.
Winter storms are battering Gaza. Tents and makeshift shelters offer little protection from the wind and rain, leaving families exposed to icy temperatures day and night. These walls collapsed onto tents, killing a teenage girl, 2 women, and an elderly man. Civil defense teams recovered their bodies.
Gotta stop letting Israel control U.S. Congress. I think Israel's got too much control over the
collapse of this
over the world.
It fell
Personally,
on my relatives. Their tent was buried by the rubble. I kept shouting and trying to pull them
can you
out.
imagine the shit
but
that
we
these
failed
people have had to
until
go through over the
civil
last
defense
several years?
arrived and recovered them.
In this city,
crazy man.
Survival is measured by how long a shelter can withstand the weather. Flooded streets, ripped tents and moldy blankets are part of daily life in Gaza.
Moldy blankets.
Yasmin spends hours sewing torn sheets, trying to keep a roof over her head. Each stitch is a lifeline for her family.
At night, the winds were very, very strong. The tent collapsed on top of us. We have no shelter or anything. Our situation is dire.
The government says more than 7,000 makeshift shelters were destroyed in 2 days. The storms reveal more than the extent of the destruction caused by Israel's war. They expose the human cost of displacement. And with each collapse,
I don't know if that's where I'd want to set up a
trauma,
tent underneath a
and
building that's been
another
collapsed.
battle to stay alive.
Don't know if that's where I'd set up, but
some of its harshest conditions, yet not only because of the weather, but because people have no proper shelter. Relief promised in the ceasefire agreed in October has yet to reach those who need it most. Tarek Abu-Azum, Al Jazeera, Gaza City, Palestine.
Hundreds of people displaced by days of conflict in the Syrian city of Aleppo are returning home. 30 buses have arrived in Sheikh Massoud. It's one of the 2 neighbourhoods where the army fought the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces last week. The violence ended with a ceasefire which saw the SDF withdraw to their strongholds outside Aleppo.
hey, thanks for that follow or
Government forces have
subscription on
been
YouTube,
through
whoever
an
that was.
extensive
Thank you.
network of underground passages in Aleppo. They were discovered after the last SDF fighters withdrew on Sunday. Al Jazeera was taken inside the tunnels, which security personnel say were used to store.
That's a question I want to ask you guys as well. Do you guys like it when like if you're following a stream, do you like hearing the notification, or would you, or when somebody else follows it, do you like seeing it on the screen and making a noise or whatever saying thank you for following, or is like a message in the chat enough? Like, what would you prefer? Me personally, I don't care if my name gets on the screen. I'm just curious how you guys feel. I'm just kind of trying to set up my stream so that it's as... Oh, there it is. Thank you very much for the sub on the YouTube, dude.
Out of the city undetected, and there's a warren underneath.
What is this?
This neighborhood.
In Syria.
Suggesting that they can go a long, long way deep into Sheikh Massoud and into Aleppo. And when the Syrian government forces came down here, they said that they found weapons and ammunition, a tunnel going that way. They've already searched down there, and then down this way around here, you can see, I see it's full of water. So we can't go, that's as far as we can go now. But it just gives an indication of how long the SDF had spent embedding themselves.
Israel's still blowing stuff up.
Of Aleppo, and
I don't think they. I think they've done a little bit in Syria, but it's
fears that perhaps somewhere in those tunnels there are other SDF fighters hiding, or the prisoners that they've still not found, also being held somewhere under here. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Aleppo, Syria.
All right, let's see what they're going to talk about next, but I want to kind of get back to Iran. Okay, they're going to. I want to try and focus on Iran today. Try to focus on Iran. I don't know what this is about. Here we go.
The difference is right now is from 10 years old to 80 years old in the street, like a family, because all people in united together, and that's why they are fighting for changing the regime.
While they wait, Calgary's Iranian community will be protesting here every Sunday at City Hall. Dan McGarvey, CBC News, Calgary.
The foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland will meet with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington tomorrow. That meeting comes as President Donald Trump pushes to take control of the Arctic territory. The Danish minister says he requested a meeting with Rubio after Trump scaled up his threats, claiming the U.S. needs the island for national security reasons. Also today, Greenland's prime minister repeated the territory is not for sale and that it chooses to remain with Denmark.
Let's go back to that meeting between the foreign affairs ministers of Denmark and Greenland and the U.S. Vice President and Secretary of State. That's due to happen tomorrow as Trump remains adamant about the U.S. taking control of Greenland. Let's bring in journalist Ross Cullen. He joins us from Greenland's capital. So, Ross, what's the feeling like among residents of Greenland in regard to these meetings?
Yeah, good afternoon, Andrew, from here in the Greenlandic capital, Nuuk, and speaking to people. They are very worried about the possibility of the United States takeover of this self-governing
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
Territory,
That two today, guys.
when it comes to
Two
oil
subs today.
exploration, oil exploitation. They are very protective of, proud of, and defensive of the natural beauty here, the pristine nature of many of Greenland's landscapes, the biggest fjord system in the world, the biggest national park in the world, home to rare Arctic wildlife as well. And they are worried about the possibility that the United States would be interested in the critical minerals here, the rare earths as well. So they are worried about that, but they are pleased to see,
you know what it is,
this united front that we saw a little bit earlier on.
Rare earths are not rare, first of all. Rare earths are literally found just about everywhere in the world. There's large deposits everywhere. Like, the Ukraine's got them, Canada's got them. Like, there's lots of places that have rare earths. So this whole idea that, oh my God, we got to get to Greenland because they've got the rare earths. Lots of places have the rare earths.
Well, what Greenland and Denmark would like to see come out of it is diplomacy and an agreement to the United States not to pursue this acquisition or purchase. They tried in 1946, the United States, to buy Greenland then for $100 million, roughly $1.5 billion in today's money. And at that time, Copenhagen said no. That's what they would like to see. This time around, the United States
it's the actual enrichment.
Also saying that there is an international law aspect about this
that
has to be
nobody else
respected,
does
but
it,
we do
right?
know,
Like,
Andrew,
very
in
few
recent
places
days,
other than China
Donald
actually
Trump has
does
said
it.
that he's not guided by or bound by international law, only by his own morality. Certainly, if you look at it on just simple aspect, what they would like to see come out of this is an agreement by the United States to stop this pursuit of trying to acquire Greenland. Andrew?
Ross, thank you. That's journalist Ross Cullen in Greenland's capital.
Focus on RE. What does RE stand for? Masters in Geochemistry. So are you like somebody that can help us find oil? Uganda. I've not seen any news.
Arriving.
What's going on in Uganda?
His final rally. Thousands of people are waiting for him to hear what he has to say. His rally has been
Rare earth elements, okay.
And he has been campaigning on a platform.
Greenland issue
General
test tornadoes.
Shirley would not be very excited to have to worry about, especially because those external threats can be so effectively handled by the alliance as a whole. If you look concretely, the U.S., for example, is very poor in its number of icebreakers, but allies, Canada, Finland, others, have more resources to get into the Arctic. So despite American rhetoric and Trump's rhetoric about his need to be the protector in the Arctic, it's actually very important to cooperate with allies to have a bigger posture in the Arctic and the high north. And even if we look at the
I
incident
personally
last week of the
don't think we're
seizure
going to see
of
any
the Shadow fleet
any sort of a takeover of Greenland. I think if Trump actually said, okay, I want to attack Greenland and take it over, I think that is kind of the line where you'd have generals and admirals in the country saying, no, this is crazy, we're not doing that, because the generals and admirals and the U.S. military are actually pro NATO, from what I understand. I think that's the point where they'd say, okay, we're not doing this. This is garbage. It'd be the end of his presidency. I agree with you. So I think a lot of this is just posturing, but Trump is so chaotic. Like, you just never know. He might actually be serious. You know, we're going to take it by force. Like, I would like to think that there's no way that he would risk having a war with the EU over this.
Important priority for President Trump, and I doubt that that's going to go away. But unlike Venezuela or unlike Iran, the person sitting on the other side isn't a weak
It's the same thing with
leader.
gold. You can find it in beach and practically anywhere, but it's not in high enough concentration.
legitimacy.
Well, that's the trick, right? That's why they try and find gold gold in large enough concentrations that it makes it worthwhile for them to actually mine, right? Whereas for the individual, maybe it's worth their time to stand by a little river or whatever and try and find a little nugget here and there or something. But generally, when they're opening up a mine, it's because they found like an area where there's a large deposit of gold or something like that. The difference with rare earth minerals and our REE expert here, who was that? Stokens? I don't believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, that they're found in large concentrations. They're just kind of scattered everywhere. And that's what makes it not worthwhile for people to actually try and mine them. Because they're not just they're not in huge concentrations like you'd find gold or silver or copper or whatnot. But Sokens can correct me if I'm wrong.
Almost 5 million packs of noodles. That's how much ramyun Nongshim's flagship Gumi facility produces each
I
day.
do not care. That is the last thing I care about right now.
Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei posted on the platform earlier this month, "We will not give in to the enemy."
I'm pretty sure Khamenei did not
Sharon
post a damn
replied
thing,
in
actually.
Persian, in Farsi, with an idiom
Let's
that
be
translates
honest.
to false illusion or delusional thinking. So we have seen a little clash on his own platform there, but that's all we know at this point.
Thank you, Vedika. That's Vedika Bahel with tonight's Truth or Fake.
If he sends troops, I don't even think he would be able to send troops. I think he might give the order and they'd say no, we're not, we're done. Like we've had enough of this. I think the second he actually said I want to do this and told the generals I think that's where they be like, no, we're not doing this. There are deposits where they're concentrated just like gold, but they are very few and far between. Oh, really? I for some reason thought that it was so just scattered out that it just wasn't worthwhile. Like you basically have to dig up a bunch of other crap, and you get a very little amount of rare mineral or rare earth, but it's all over the place. So I will take your word for it since you are the expert.
And cultivated. Thank you for your trust.
The Greenland discussion is so effing off the rails. He talked about buying a huge chunk of land. But not only that, but there's actually people living there. Are we allowing people to be bought all of a sudden? Well, that was one of the suggestions. Like somebody suggested that they would pay them each $100,000, and it's like they're not going to give up their land for $100,000. What are you, nuts? So that's just the thing. Like them, it would turn into a potential war if they actually tried to pursue this. The fact that England and Germany have sent warships into the area to protect the area, that is insane. Like I'm saying this as a lot of you guys are probably the same age as me. Wise guy's like 40 years older than me, if he's still here. I think he's still at work, but he was taking a break. But for somebody that grew up through the Cold War and remembering the wall come down in Germany, the fact that we actually have 2 NATO countries sending warships to defend another territory from another NATO country is absolutely insane in my mind. I never thought that I would see something like this in my days. It is crazy to think that we've gotten here. And it's only because of one person. It's crazy. I never ever would have thought I would have seen this in my day, but I don't think anything's going to come of it like we've talked about. I think the second that Trump gives the order to say, you know what, we're sending in the troops, we're taking over, I think, like Dragoon said, that would be the end of his presidency. I think he'd be impeached. I think the generals, the admirals would just say, no, we're not doing this, and that would be the end of it. And you'd quickly see him be impeached for it. One person, there's an entire administration behind it as well. Yeah, it's not just true. Don't, don't get me wrong. I know Trump's not the only one behind this. I think Miller is one of the big problems in the Trump administration. I think he's behind a lot of this. Personally, I know there's probably other people as well, but I think Stephen Miller is he's like, in my opinion, Trump's number one. He's even, in my opinion, he's got the ear of Trump even more than J.D. Vance. I think Stephen Miller is behind a lot of these ideas, and the way he's acting. He's the Trump whisperer, in my opinion. Time to find something worth to mine, I'm assuming. But I'm just catching up on chat. It takes a very specific geological setting to produce a high concentration of rare earth deposits. One example is the Mount Pass mine in California. It takes a lot of money and time to find something worth to mine, I'm assuming. So would they mine an area just because it has rare earth minerals, or would it be they know there's rare earth there, but there's also gold there, so they're going to mine the gold and then also separate the rare earth as well? Like, would they mine something just for the rare earth? I said the other day, I'm so looking forward to the world post-Trump. It's going to be a shit show, and imagine all the stuff. I was saying this other earlier, Haroom OG. The next 10 months is going to be wild. He's got 10 months before he loses the House. He's going to try and get as much stuff done in the next 10 months as he possibly can. And I think that's going to be pretty wild. It's going to be pretty wild, whatever he tries to get done in that time. And I think you're going to see just a rapid number of things that he's going to try to accomplish before he can't put through a lot of this stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, they're not going to be able to come back and be like, hey, sorry for all that shit the other guy did. Well, never mind Trump. What about everyone else? Like, what about Pam Bondi? What about the Kash Patel? What about the what's her name that shoots her puppies? Like, you think they're going to get impeached? Do you think they're going to get impeached? Do you think it's highly possible that they'll make a move on Cuba this year? Like, they definitely should be, yeah. Well, especially now that they're refusing to release the Epstein files, even though it's been required, like, that they have to. And they're just like, yeah, okay, we understand what the court said, we're just not going to do it. Like, they're just not releasing them now. Boils down to the extraction cost of the mine to refine the ore and the end product. Extraction costs can vary based on the actions, including ore concentrations, proximity to transportation. I'm sorry, dude. I feel like you're writing me up a paper. You're like writing up like an essay question at the end of your final exam or something. Anyways, yeah. For those of you that I'm sure everyone here knows about the basics of U.S. politics, where they do have these midterms. Usually, for those of you that have, there's probably some people in chat here that are not from the U.S. I've traveled significantly throughout the U.S., and it seems like whenever I go down there, there's elections for something. There's election signs everywhere, no matter what time of the year I go down there. It's crazy. There's elections nonstop down there. So I've got to imagine that the election signs, if they're not already up for midterms, are going to be going up soon. Aren't rare. I'll write it off of these days, but it's so much more complex than that. Just trying to educate a bit. I appreciate that, actually. I appreciate that. If I say something that's wrong in chat, I appreciate if people point it out. So this is, a good place to learn and just have a conversation with each other. Anyways, what are we talking about here? What's this?
Were being discussed, and Germany's Chancellor said the bloc's foreign ministers were working to ensure that a peaceful transition to a democratically legitimate government can take place in the country.
The German Chancellor thinks that the government's going to be toppled soon.
Driven by the will of the Iranian people, according to some analysts.
That's going to be wild, guys. I'm not kidding you. That will be wild.
They should have listened to the activists.
That will be the biggest news story, perhaps, of the year.
One of the biggest question marks remains around.
I mean, it's the 13th of January. Let's relax.
Trump has dialed up the pressure by repeatedly threatening military intervention under the guise of a regime change. And on Tuesday, he took to social media and urged protesters to keep going, saying he had cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials and that, quote, help is on its way.
How is help on its way? Unless you're talking about like a military strike.
And the potential consequences for the regime.
Those are dangerous words, man.
With Aran Keshavarzian, a specialist on Middle Eastern studies.
It's always very difficult to predict Donald Trump's actions. Frankly, I'm not even sure he and his team have a precise plan. While, of course, Iran has been on the U.S. foreign agenda for many years, decades, he came into the presidency wanting to focus not on the Middle East, and yet again, he's been dragged into Middle East issues. The military options are there, but supporting the protesters can't be done with just simply shooting missiles and bombing, for instance.
And words don't help either. It's just encouragement.
The United States and Israel did in the summer.
I'm on that chat group, Rumi. I'll let you know. I'm in Hegseth's chat group.
Access to internet and information.
I just messaged him on Twitter and asked for access, and he gave it to me.
I'm at a bit of a loss as to what can be done. The sort of action that took place in Venezuela, it would be far more complicated than the Iranian case.
Usually, he's just talking about how fat his generals are, though.
Away from the United States. The location of the supreme leader and the main generals are scattered and harder to locate and so forth.
And you mentioned communication there, Aran. With the internet blackouts that have been imposed on people in Iran, is it possible to actually have a clear picture of what's happening on the ground? Do you have any indication from people that you've perhaps spoken with?
Yes, it's been very difficult these last, now it's about 6 days. I personally have only had a very spotty communication with my relatives there, and it's very unclear. Even the people within Iran themselves are not sure what has taken place. Remember, it's not only that people from the outside can't communicate with people in Iran, but Iranians within the country don't have information about what's happening in different cities, different places.
Mike, it'll get a lot better if you start playing EVE Online.
A lot of violence unleashed by the security forces in the past 3-4 days. We know hundreds, unfortunately, maybe even thousands have been killed. We also know that there's been a significant amount of violence by some of the members of the protests. We know that the government itself has named security officials that have been killed and shot.
You don't even know if they will just kill you for no reason.
Confusing situation.
That's what I said earlier. These people that are protesting are literally risking their lives. Like, literally risking their lives. It is incredibly courageous what they're doing in Iran. And those of us that live in the West, we can't even comprehend what they're going through right now. So when you see these huge protests where if they're caught on camera and it's reported to the authorities and they find out where they live, or and now they're arresting people, and there's been reports now that they're going to start executing people. Fox News mentioned that there was going to be a public execution by hanging in Tehran. I mean, imagine that happening here. How ready would you be to go out to the streets and actually protest whatever it is that you're pissed off about? A lot of people would probably just turn around and go home. And the fact that they're still out there is ridiculously courageous. This is the Denmark stuff?
One way or the other, the Arctic Territory's Prime Minister was unequivocal. We are not for sale.
Greenland does not want to be owned by the US. Greenland does not want to be governed by the US. Greenland does not want to be part of the US.
I guess that settles
Prime
that.
Minister Nielsen added that in the current climate,
I guess that
the
settles that.
territory would choose to remain
We should
part
ask
of
if they want to be
Denmark,
part of
which has
Canada.
ruled it for
Their
centuries.
flags are already the right
Speaking
colors.
at a joint press conference with the Danish Prime Minister, who said it had been difficult to confront the United States, a fellow NATO member.
It has not been easy to stand up against completely unacceptable pressure from our closest allies for a generation. But at the same time, much suggests that the hardest part still
Did the
lies
Danish
ahead of
colors?
us.
No.
White House
Then
officials
Denmark
have
can
been discussing
join.
various plans
Denmark
to bring
can join
Greenland
Canada
under
as well.
US
Then.
control, including potential use of the military and lump sum payments to Greenlanders as part of a bid to convince
Have you guys
them.
heard about the war
As
between
tensions
Denmark
mount,
and
the
Canada
foreign
that just
ministers of
ended?
Greenland
Actually,
and Denmark have arranged
and
to
I'm
meet
not
the
kidding
US
you.
Vice
There was
President
actually a
and Secretary
war
of State on Wednesday.
between Denmark and Canada.
Our reason for requesting this meeting has been to move this entire discussion, which has not become less tense since we were last there, into a meeting room where you can look each other in the eye.
Trump insists the US needs Greenland for national security. Greenland and NATO have said they intend to strengthen the territory's defense.
We all agree that when it comes to the protection of the Arctic, we have to work together. And that's exactly what we are doing.
Some alliance members have floated the idea of launching a new mission in the region, although no concrete proposals are yet on the table.
South Korea's special prosecutor is requesting the death penalty for former President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges of masterminding an insurrection over his brief imposition of martial law in December 2024. Even if he is convicted, it's highly unlikely a death sentence would be carried out, as Seoul has had an unofficial moratorium on executions since 1997. Monty Francis has more.
Once embraced by world leaders, the ex-president of South Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol, now faces the ultimate punishment. A special counsel has asked a court in Seoul to sentence Yoon to death after he imposed martial law on the country on December 3rd of 2024.
This is the guy that just went crazy a couple of years ago.
Only lasted 6 hours because the South Korean National Assembly quickly voted it down, and citizens flooded the streets in protest and clashed with the military.
Put to death for declaring martial law?
Amid a huge public outcry, Yoon was later impeached, removed from office, and arrested, with prosecutors claiming he had conspired with military leaders to take over the legislature and to detain his political enemies. Accusations he denies.
Why would Denmark not be able to make claim over a territory? Like, if they found it first, like, that's how it works. You know? Why was it under martial law? I'm not exactly sure, actually. I can't remember.
Due to be sentenced later this month. As for Yoon, the court is expected to hand down its verdict.
For some reason, I feel like he just went nuts or something like that and was just like...
Death, it's unlikely that he'll be executed. He'll rather spend his life in prison, given that South Korea hasn't carried out an execution since 1997.
The results will be watched closely far beyond Budapest, with the outcome having profound implications for Europe and its far-right political.
I mean, should England have been able to control, like, what was it like a fifth of the known world at one point? I mean, England's just a tiny little country. Finders keepers, man. They found it first, you know. They laid claim to it before anyone else, and they've had claim to Greenland for what, 800 years or something? 600 years? Can't remember how long it's been, but it's been a long time. Like before America was discovered, right? Like,
and together we will put an end to the Orban winter.
The what teasing
Alodar
party?
is a former insider of the current government, and his rise comes as the first strong challenge to Orban, who during the last 16 years has taken the country in an anti-democratic direction. A slide that Hungary's fellow EU members have criticized sharply, particularly when it comes to eroding protections for LGBTQ people and for its restrictions on the free press. Orban has his own deep disdain for Brussels.
Brussels is ruthlessly implementing its plan, turning everyone who doesn't rebel into an immigrant country. The bureaucrats in Brussels don't want to stop immigration, but to regulate it. Brussels is the enemy of European Christian civilization.
Yeah, didn't Portugal lay claim to a rather large piece of South America? Spain to basically the rest of South America? Like, because they happened to discover the area? That's kind of how it works, unfortunately. So I don't know why people would have a problem with Denmark laying claim to what an island that's got 50,000 people on it. They've discovered it first, I guess. So that's how it works. And keep in mind, it costs the citizens of Denmark. It's like quite a bit per year that they get taxed by. I don't know if Nixon's is around right now, but he can probably tell you exactly how much is coming out of his pocket to help support Greenland. I want to show you the war between Canada and Denmark, and this is very serious. This is a war that had been going on for decades. It was called the Whiskey War. And it was over this island. Hans Island, which is between Greenland and Canada. Or sorry, it's a Canadian island. This is an island off of the coast of one of our islands up north. And this dispute had been going on for decades. If you can't tell, this is a bit of a running joke. It's basically a large rock. It means nothing. But both Canada and Denmark had laid claim to it. And the war is basically, troops would go onto the island. They would raise their flag and leave a bottle of whiskey for the other country. And then the other country would come back, raise their flag, take the bottle of whiskey, and then leave another bottle of whiskey for Canada. And this went on for decades. It's basically a running joke that there's actually a war going on between Canada and Denmark. But I don't know, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
A lot of expectations.
I don't even know who officially won, to be honest. I don't even know if anyone has officially won.
Finals, so that gives us confidence and self-esteem to go on the pitch and give it our all.
So a blockbuster encounter to enjoy between two titans on the African continent. Morocco, who are hoping to reach a first final since 2004, while Nigeria are hoping to reach back-to-back finals after losing out in the last edition in Ivory Coast. Whoever comes out on top will face either record 7-time winners Egypt or the winners of the 2021 edition Senegal.
Well, Senegal last met Egypt in the tournament 5 years ago. That was when the Lions of Teranga won the title on penalties. Their manager, Pape Thiaw, believes that his side is the underdog going into the game.
I think it's the best team in Africa, looking at all the 7 stars they have. But
you support the Whiskey War, a much better version of the war.
We know we'll be facing a very technically...
I don't know what they're talking about. What is this? Elaborate and double mater plot with AU pair. What is this? I care. Canadian news. Measures against Gafton. Okay, don't care. It's soccer. What do we got going on here? I'll drum up some more news. I've got a news feed that I haven't been paying attention to. This is Canadian news. You guys would absolutely not care about that, so we're not going to... It is probably important news for Canada because... Whoops. they would be talking about. Why do I have that? British news? Nah. What do you got? Ukraine, one person injured. It looks like these protests are over on Fox, so let's see what Fox is talking about now. They're going to be right back, so we'll... oh, here we go. Let's see what they're talking about.
Capitol Hill right now.
They still need mics, guys. We need to make a GoFundMe for Fox News to get some proper mics.
Issues including the protests that we have been seeing in Minneapolis. Let's listen in.
Are Christians still getting executed en masse in Africa? They're always killing people en masse in some part of Africa.
We're finally fixing the broken way Washington spends your money. Following the strong passage of 3 funding bills last week, which no one thought we could get done.
I'm pretty happy with part of the U.S. Why would Greenland be any different? Well, because they've said that they don't want to be part of the U.S. So they've been fighting for their for their sovereignty for decades now. Why do you think they'd want to go from the Kingdom of Denmark to the U.S.?
We are actually
They have no interest in joining the U.S.
funding through a transparent process that actually guts bureaucracy, wasteful spending, and puts America first.
Actually, they came out with an announcement today where the Prime Minister of Denmark came out and actually said, "We don't want anything to do with the U.S. We want to stay with Denmark." Like, and every poll across Greenland has basically shown no support for joining the U.S. So. I don't know, what else do you want as evidence that they don't want to be part of the U.S.? That's a problem, but if it weren't a U.S. state, they would have a whole different set of issues. Firstly, they'd be defenseless. Feral Japanese during World War II, who knows what evil shit could have gone down. Well, I mean, one of the reasons why they attacked was only because the U.S. had their military there, right? If the U.S. didn't have their military there and all their ships there, it probably wouldn't have been a target. I don't know what you're talking about. The only reason Pearl Harbor became a target was because they found out that a huge portion of the American naval fleet was stationed there at that time, and they thought they could take it out in one hit. No footage approved, dude. There's a movie called Pearl Harbor, and I saw everything that happened, dude. I saw everything that happened. Like, why would they? The Americans wouldn't even have ships there. There wouldn't have been a Pearl Harbor if America didn't have ships there.
We'll talk about. And they will be fighting the law enforcement who are there to actually keep Americans safe. Stop the scams and uphold the rule of law. That's not
What scams is she talking about?
That's corruption. And what Democrats are doing is wrong, it's reckless, and it's un-American. Here's the difference. Republicans stand with law enforcement. We stand with making sure that the American people are safe. Republicans protect your hard-earned dollars and make sure that the money is going for good causes.
I don't know what she's talking about.
That we are getting value for our dollar, and Republicans will keep fighting to grow paychecks, lower costs, and build a stronger America for this generation.
I'm not sure what she's going on about.
To come. And with
I was watching
I'm
chat.
going to yield to my fellow colleague Mark Messmer, who will be leading a bill to actually empower companies to help their employees with child care and elder care. Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Lisa. HR 2270 is the Empowering Employer.
If they believe in law, yeah, the Epstein files would have been launched. Why didn't the Epstein files launch? So you've been told to do so? Not having done so is illegal? You're disobeying the law?
And we can waste no time in providing more financial relief to the American people. Bureaucratic red tape.
That's why this quote.
Mandates
Where's that quote again?
Businesses and employees valuable money, and it's important that we get government out of the way. I've introduced the Empowering Employer Child and Elder Care Solutions Act to give businesses the flexibility they need to pass on this important
That's why that quote that I showed you guys earlier. I asked you guys if any of you had read the book 1984. I'm very disappointed that nobody actually said yes, I've read the book, or at least seen the movie. Like, are we being serious? There isn't a single other person besides me that's read the book or seen the movie. Anyways, the quote. You've read it multiple times. Read it another one. You saw the farm. It's not called The Farm. What is it called? Animal Farm? I think it's Animal Farm, right? Yeah, Animal Farm. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Like that quote, every time you see a politician talk, you should be thinking of that quote in your head, because 99% of the time,
Qualified workers to
they're
support
full
their
of
company's
shit.
growth. They should be rewarded, not punished.
Or if Mike's saying anything to
for
you, if
making
Mike's saying
this
anything in
critical
chat,
pro-family business
think of that
benefit
quote.
available, which in turn helps them recruit the brightest and best to the workforce.
Think of
I'm
that
grateful
quote.
for my Republican leaders who, along with the Trump administration, are dedicated to turning the economy around and making America more profitable again. The Empowering Employer Child and Elder Care Solutions Act contributes to our goal.
Yeah, of course
of
you didn't
returning
listen.
affordability to the American people and the U.S. workforce. The American taxpayer needs our help now more than ever to get our economy back on track, and this bill will be one small step in making that dream a reality. Thank you.
I don't know what they're talking about right now.
Just going to beat you to it.
It's hurtful, Tom. It's hurtful, Tom.
Well, I'm just trying to help the speaker. He was going to have to do it anyway. I want to begin by thanking President Trump and his all-star cabinet and federal law enforcement who have been working around the clock in my home state of Minnesota to combat rampant fraud and remove criminal illegal aliens from our communities. The worst of the worst are coming off our streets thanks to the immigration and customs enforcement officers. This includes murderers, rapists, kidnappers, and pedophiles. Yet you wouldn't know about this because our worthless paper, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, doesn't report the truth. Law enforcement officers are repeatedly harassed, assaulted, and demonized by paid agitators and failed and corrupt politicians.
Can someone let me know where you can get paid to be a paid agitator? Because I've tried to find out where I can get paid to actually do that sort of stuff, and I can't find anywhere to get paid. Apparently it's
Like
$20
Governor
an hour.
Tim
I
Walz,
don't.
Attorney General Keith Ellison and Mayor
Where does
Jacob
one get paid
Fry
for this?
would rather go to war with the Trump administration than get criminal illegal aliens out of our communities and expose the fraud that's been allowed to run rampant on their watch. Once again, the Democrats have shown their true colors. Look no
I can go
further
down to
than
the
their
U.S.
ridiculous
I
lawsuit
don't even get
yesterday.
asked questions at the
They're
border. They
choosing
just
to
wave me
protect
through.
horrific
I just show them my
criminals over
card, and
law-abiding
they're like, okay, go ahead.
And they're using your taxpayer dollars to do it. Thankfully, President Trump is once again stepping up where Tim Walz and Minnesota Democrats have failed by sending in additional officers and ending temporary protected status
Tokens.
for
It's part of
Somalia.
it's
The Trump
part of
administration is
NATO.
putting the safety and security of Minnesotans
Part of
first.
NATO. Like,
Housing and Urban
how's Denmark
Development
going to
Secretary Scott Turner
defend Denmark?
announced yesterday that under Joe Biden, the department likely paid $84 million in ineligible assistance, including assistance to over 500 dead tenants. And that was in his final year in office. Accountability is finally coming, and Minnesotans are getting the answers they deserve. With that, I'm gonna
NATO's a
turn it
joke?
over to
Well,
our
we'll
leader,
we'll find
Steve
out.
Scalise.
We might find out if NATO's a
Whip.
joke.
We have another busy week on the House floor addressing problems that were created under Joe Biden, dealing with cost of living. As our conference chair,
Beauregard
Mr.
just
Plain
goes,
talked
okay, this
about,
guy looks
we have
stupid. No,
brought
sure,
so
he
many
must
bills
be.
to
Let
start
him go.
unraveling the damage that Joe Biden created that led to all these cost increases in so many areas to finally start bringing them down so we could put more money in the pocket.
I don't ever get asked questions when I go across the border. They just wave me through. I'm not even kidding.
Last week to lower housing costs. Bills that came out of French Hills Committee to address some of those problems. We have some
They
more
just give
bills
me
coming out
an
of the
07
Financial Services Committee
and
to
wave me
address
through.
that problem. This week we're bringing a number of bills that came
Okay,
out
so
of
it looks like they're talking about the Somali stuff, which, I mean, the whole Somali stuff is like one business, and people are trying to blame an entire community for it. And I, to be honest, haven't really followed what's going on with that. whole situation. I've heard from some people that it's been completely debunked. Do I have 2 ABC News up? I do. I don't know why. Okay, is he still talking about Iran?
All over the country and making it impossible for people to buy a home. And I've also announced that the U.S. government is purchasing $200 billion of mortgage bonds to bring down mortgage rates. And it's
I don't know Somalians. You don't think we don't have Somalians
just
here?
last week, the average 30-year mortgage dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. It's coming down very rapidly, and that's not with the help of the Fed.
I think the U.S. is the only country that people go to.
But that jerk will be gone soon. In addition, I proudly called for the credit card companies to cap interest rates at 10% for 1 year, because they're getting 28 and 30% and 32%.
Are interest rates really that high in the U.S.? 30%?
Provide further relief to hardworking Americans.
Is that really a thing?
Be confronting one of the biggest factors in
Really?
driving up prices, the monstrosity known as the Unaffordable Care Act. You know what that is, right? It's Obamacare. It's a great name, Unaffordable Care Act. Did anybody ever think of that one before? It's true.
I don't think I've ever seen it higher than like
Obamacare
19
was a
here.
gift to make health insurance companies
I don't
rich
even
at
know
the
what mine
expense of
is,
the American
because I pay it off every
In
month, so I don't get
particular,
charged
the
interest.
so-called enhanced premium tax
Speaking of
credits
what,
were corrupt payoff to the insurers.
I
whose
pay it
stock
off on the
prices
15th
went
of
up
every
more
month.
than 1,000% after Obamacare was
That's
signed.
crazy.
I want the
29%.
same money I want it to go directly. Very simple. I want the money.
I don't borrow money.
Big amounts of
I
money
pay it
paid
off,
for
so I
by
don't have any
government
interest
to go
charged.
directly to the people.
All I'm doing is
So
building
they
my
can buy
credit.
the health care that's right
I've
for
got
them.
like
They can negotiate their own deal.
I've got no like outstanding credit rating because I charge everything that I do to my credit card and then pay it off every month. Like every month I pay it off, so I don't get charged interest. You don't have building? Yes, you do. You definitely have credit rating in the U.S. 2% per cash. Yeah, exactly. Like I've got cash back. I don't have any monthly fees, and I don't have fees on my credit card, because it was one that I got when I was going to school. So there's no fees. I think I get 2% cash back, and I get no interest. So I mean,
On that alone,
and
we should win.
I charge literally everything to my credit card. Every bill, it gets charged to my credit card. And I've even tried to convince my landlord of the building that I live in to allow credit card payments for my rent. But they don't. So you don't have what in Europe? You don't have credit ratings in Europe? Bullshit. Really? How do you apply for a mortgage then? How does that work? You don't have credit rating.
20. Theirs would go from 10 to 20. The world being a bigger place. And it was unbelievable, but the countries wouldn't do it. So I called the countries. I said,
They
"If you
just
don't
check
do
your
it, then I'm
income.
gonna Put a tariff on you.
But they don't check
Put
to
a
see
tariff
whether or
on
not you
20
like pay your
times more
bills
than
off or not.
The cost that you're having to pay for fair health care." And every one of them said, "Sir, we agree with you 100%. We would be honored to do
Really?
it." It was really rather amazing. We could never do it. So think of that. Your most favored drug prices. Your drug prices are going to go down like from $100 to $10. Nobody can believe it.
Okay, I want to show something that I saw earlier. Otherwise, we're just going to listen to him ramble for like 2 hours over stuff. This is something Joe Rogan is talking about. Like, I saw some article the other day where Joe Rogan is turning on Trump, but I didn't actually read the article.
People
So
in the street. You don't want
So this-
militarized people in the streets.
oh, he's talking about the ICE agents going around on the street. It sounds like.
You don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
Yeah, is it true that you guys have to carry your ID around with you in the U.S.? Is that somebody mentioned that in stream, and I was like, that can't be right. Like that you have to actually have ID on you all the time. Asking papers is normal in EU. It's not law. We have to carry ID if you are driving. Well, if you're driving, yeah. If you're driving here, you're supposed to have your driver's license on you. Only while driving. Okay, so that's the same as here then. But I mean, there are clips. There's one that I saw earlier today where there's a clip of ICE store like going into a gas station, and some guy's filling his car up, and they're like, "Where's your immigration papers?" And he's like, "I don't have immigration papers. I'm a citizen." And they wouldn't take that for an answer, and they hauled him off. he's like. In Germany, you need it all the time. Your ID in vehicle, you need every time your license. I'm gonna believe get Getriebesamt. I know I'm probably butchering that. My German is very rusty, but he sounds like he's German. We're in Wo in Deutschland. Whereabouts are you? Getriebesamt. Whereabouts in Germany do you live? I'm doing well. I've not spoken German in about 30 years, 34 years. But I used to live there. Just wait, man. Once the government starts turning and questioning their citizens, it's going to be good. They're already arresting citizens, dude. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but apparently there was a U.S. citizen that got killed the other day. Across all of Europe with just your driver's license. No, yeah, but I think that's just your ID, though, right? Like you've got your ID. It was good. Wohin Deutschland kommst du? Look at that, it's coming back. It's coming back. Or kommen Sie. Sorry, I should be polite. Wohin Deutschland kommen Sie? Or Sie, is it Sie kommen? Is it Sie kommen or kommen Sie? Anyways. The police can demand ID if they have suspicion that you've committed a crime, but I do not remember if you are required to have it on the spot to avoid being detained. Well, he's saying that you need ID of some sort. Like, what if you're a kid? What if you're a 12-year-old kid and you're playing in a playground? Do you need ID in Europe? Like, do 12-year-old kids have to carry their ID around? Please say do. Okay. Did I say it right though? Is it Wohin Deutschland kommst? It's kommst du, so it would be kommen Sie then, right? If it was polite. So it would be kommst du, right? Apparently ICE is now using some facial scanning software linked to a government database to ID people on the street. Yeah, what about like 12-year-old kids? Kids will need to show via parents. But what if they're just on a playground by themselves? Like, what if they're a 12-year-old kid that's just out on a playground with a bunch of their friends? It's like, they can't be expected to carry ID in that case, right? Okay, we done with Trump? I think we're done with Trump for the day. What is this guy talking about?
High end. On the low end, he can reposition forces and
okay, so this is the Iran intervention. At least they're talking about that.
Deter attacks. If the U.S. was to conduct any actions in the region, he can also lethally target military facilities.
Yes, thank you.
A cyber strike. But the thing that stood out to me from our sourcing and what the president was briefed on was he was briefed on that the U.S. military could take either could conduct, cyber operations or psychological operations against Iran. So cyber operations would mean disrupting Iranian government networks, their communications.
I'm going to Google it. I'm Googling it. We're going to settle this right now. One second.
Decision-making processing systems.
Are you required to carry
so, for instance, they could target
ID in the
security
EU?
forces and weaken the regime's ability to track and suppress dissent.
It says yes, Mike. Yes, you are generally required to carry ID in the EU, but rules vary by country.
Pushing alternative narratives, amplifying critical voices.
Sorry, dude.
Undermining trust.
Sorry, Mike. Mike, once again, you're wrong, dude. I'm sorry, but Google overrules. Rules vary by country. Some, like Belgium, strictly enforce carrying ID at all times, while others, like Germany, Netherlands, require you to possess one but not necessarily carry it constantly. Though police can ask, and you must be able to produce it quickly, often requiring a passport copy of the original if the original isn't with you. For non-EU residents, a passport is essential, and carrying a copy is highly recommended, especially in Schengen countries, where border checks are minimal, but identification verification is still possible. So, sorry, Mike. Sorry.
Well, the transgender athletes in Idaho and West Virginia are arguing that these state laws violate the Constitution. They violate federal anti-discrimination law because the
sorry,
law,
Mike.
they say, ensures that people cannot be excluded from participation based, they say, on their sex. And that's what's happening here.
You saw some guy in Germany get arrested for fishing without a license. There's a funny story about how I can't remember what it was. Somebody was asking. I think this was one of the Monty Python actors where I saw him doing an interview, and he was talking about how Germans are very like by the book. Where basically like he was asking one of them, a German, what would happen if you were caught driving without a license. And the German was like, well, you must have a license. Sorry, my German accent is really bad. And he was like, I know. But what happened if you were to drive without a license? He goes, but you must have a license. Like he could not grasp the whole idea of somebody driving a car without a license.
Exclude people based on sex. They were talking about biological sex. So Congress could simply change the law if they see it differently now.
When do you think we'll get a decision?
This one could be a while. You know, the controversial, contentious ones take longer because more people have opinions to write. So I expect it sometime later this spring or early this summer, Lindsay.
Okay, Jan Crawford, thank you. Inflation held steady in December, falling in line with
Trans
economists'
station in
expectations.
Hamburg,
The
went to the
consumer
Netherlands
price
for
index
breakfast,
rose
have lunch in France, and can
2.7%
eating
from December
pasta
2024, matching the same
just
rate seen
with
in
your
November.
ID.
Despite the lack of movement, the data shows the inflation rate for consumer staples like food and electricity remains high. CBS News Money Watch correspondent
Soon the government will have us eating in pods, eating
the
bugs.
economy.
It's going to be like the Matrix, dude. We're going to be in
we got the
pods
December,
with like
consumer price index, right?
little
we
hoses
look at
attached
this
to it.
See how inflation, how prices are moving. And it was a good report card. The annual rate came in at 2.7%. That's exactly what we saw in November. It was plus 0.3% when you look at it on a monthly basis. And then when you strip out that volatile food and energy and just sort of look at how entrenched inflation really is in the economy, we like to call this the core CPI. It came in at 2.6% annually and 0.2% on the month. And that was the best.
Look at this. Russia losing 1,000
already had no electricity,
soldiers a day.
heating, or
Ukraine
water for
about
42
1,300.
hours. Nothing at all. We're surviving. You can see how.
The conditions are difficult. Honestly, what saves us is optimism. And my
Russia took out the power in Kiev a couple days ago.
Endured, and we will endure
And it's
too.
cold
We
there
have
this
no
time of
right
the
to
year.
give up.
Artillery duels rage. Drone swarms multiply. The front lines of Ukraine churn with constant violence.
Brave New World, I have not actually.
Kyiv, too, is hitting back hard. Ukraine has attacked 3 Russian oil drilling platforms in the Caspian
Brave
Sea.
New World, let me write that one down.
With peace talks going nowhere, the war is only intensifying as Russia and Ukraine both continue to exchange heavy fire. Bureau Report, WION.
Dystopian novel by English author Aldous Huxley.
Ukraine's military has claimed to have carried out strikes on 3 Russian oil drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea. Now, according to Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, drone footage shows attacks on facilities operated by Russia's Lukoil energy company. The Ukrainian military said the sites were being used to support Russian occupying forces. It has been confirmed that direct hits were achieved. An assessment of the damage is coming.
Let's see what else is on here. Fox News.
Next story takes us out to a live feed right
What is
now
with their
out
mics,
of
man?
DC, where several lawmakers are taking part in an
What is with their
ICE
mics?
Out for Good rally. That is what they are calling it. Let's listen in on Live Now.
press dissent because they want to prevent a transfer of power, because they want to continue this cruelty forever. Are we going to let them do that?
Probably.
So we in D.C. are very clear. We are not going to stand idly by while people are being attacked. Nadia mentioned Philip Brown. I just want to add a little to that story. He went out to get milk for his kids. He went out to get milk for his kids. He was driving on Bennett Road. He went out to get milk. He came home with a bullet hole in his collar.
What?
The amazing overreach here is happening because of a lack of any kind of oversight. It is up to us at this point because there's no oversight. Dozens of people are dying in ICE custody. And I want to just take a minute and just bear with me because I want to take a minute and talk about this building behind us, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, the CBP. And I want to make it clear to you all how much things are out of control inside this building. There is nobody anymore working in internal affairs. Almost a year ago, the executive director of the Investigative Operations Division was fired. That was the first thing that happened. A year ago. What else happened a year ago, right? Then, 6 months ago, right when the occupation of D.C. began, the assistant commissioner was forced out of that same office. And then in December, just a few weeks ago, the deputy assistant commissioner was pushed out. So right now, no one, literally no one in this building is in charge of internal affairs. There are agents running around, killing people, shooting at people, and they are not even pretending that there's anybody in charge of making that stop. And how many people here have worked for the federal government, have been a civil service? We know that every agency is supposed to have some internal oversight. That is gone. It's just gone. And so we cannot have any illusions right now that this FBI or this Department of Justice or this Customs and Border Patrol will do anything to seek out justice. What we have to demand is that we just cut the funding for all of it. Yes. And I don't have any illusions that this is going to happen tomorrow, that all these, these thugs are going to come off our streets, but I do fundamentally believe that it will happen and that it will get better and we will win. But it is going to take work. It's going to take folks like you coming out on a cold, dark night in January, which is amazing. It's going to mean that we have to
Germany's awesome, dude. What are you talking about? Germany's an awesome place.
But here in D.C., we don't even have voting elected officials. So we have to use all the power we have. We've seen it working. We have to use our power as jurors. We have to use our power as taxpayers. We have to use our power as voters. We have to use our power as consumers. And we have to use our power as workers. And I want to invite everyone here to start to use that power. In 1 week from today, instead of gathering at 5 p.m. after work, we're asking you to leave work, to join us right over there on the corner at 14th and Constitution and join us at 2 p.m. because they need to start understanding that we will not let this go on forever. Eventually,
You guys still arguing about the ID?
we will stop buying. We will stop doing all of the things that they rely on us to do if they don't stop.
Poland and Hungary are nice countries, but Germany's not, dude. Germany is amazing, man. I loved my time in Germany. What happened? She just suddenly... They muted her, chat. They muted her.
We are going to win. We are going to win because we are not going to let them attack us. We are going to shut things down. And if they are going to attack us, we are going to respond. Free DC! Free DC! Free DC!
Have fun going there now. I mean, I have friends that still live there. They're not having any problems. I think you're like, what's wrong with Germany?
A senator wanted to join us She could not join us, but Senator from
I was supposed to go there in
Minnesota, Tina
September.
Smith, passed on a message. I do want to read this message because Tina Smith has been a real leader in the response to this. She says, "This is personal to me. Renee was shot and killed by ICE agents in a neighborhood that is only a few miles from where I live. Everybody should be safe no matter
Cryptic
where they
skills.
live."
North Korea needs to take over the U.S. and bring some order to that
Take care of
country.
her neighbors was shot and killed by federal agents. I've heard reports of tear gas and pepper spray being deployed at K-12 schools, daycares, requiring
Counts for
parents
something.
to take
German
shifts
women
in
are
parking
beautiful
lots
as well, dude. Like I don't know what you're talking about, Mike, but Germany's got a lot going for it, man.
fear of being racially profiled.
Germany's got a lot going for it.
Approached by ICE carrying their giant militarized guns when she was just trying to go to soccer practice.
Shame.
But it's thanks to people like you, she's speaking to you, that we all saw what happened. No matter how hard this administration tries to get us not to believe what we see with our own two eyes, it's not lost upon me that without that video, we would be in a much different place. We not only saw what happened to Renee, but also the immediate aftermath when a physician in the neighborhood attempted to get Renee to see if she could be saved. He was pushed away by ICE agents. We know that ambulance came immediately to the scene to see if they could get her to the hospital, but they literally had to walk a block to get to her. And yet Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem and their ferocious following of keyboard warriors within hours of
Hated every minute of it? Of course you did.
knowing Renee's name,
They haven't learned they didn't speak English for you. I love Germany, man. I don't know what to, and I know people that have been there recently. They loved it too.
I see so many of you standing up to show that this is not who we are, that we can make this country.
They have a donut there called a Berliner. Oh my God, I ate so many of those bloody things. It is so good. Berliner mit Creme. Did they have any voter ID to prove that they were a doctor? To be fair, I hate that most German people don't want to speak English in Germany. Come on, man. I don't speak German. Most Germans can speak English, actually, to a pretty decent level. Like, it was actually difficult for me to try and learn German. I was there for a year. It was hard for me to try and learn German because as soon as they heard my accent, they'd immediately want to switch to English to practice their English. And I used to have to tell them, please, I am trying to learn how to speak German. I can't order my Big Mac in Germany without a problem. They can speak English, but they don't want to do it. I mean, dude, have you not seen Pulp Fiction, dude? They teach you how to order a Big Mac in German, man. Haven't you seen Pulp Fiction? You should have watched that before you try. They teach you how to order a Big Mac in German. Germany is not what it used to be. Okay, dude. You probably just don't like it because they're too smart for you. Germans are smart people, so I get why you didn't get along with them. Plenty of shithole places in the U.S. as well. No, really? No, in the U.S.? Come on, no. Bitch, ich wolle ein Bisch mach, bitte? I don't think that's actually... That's not how they ask for it, is it? Isn't it like a royale, or is it in France? No, it's in France. How they like a royale with cheese or something. I think it's France where they teach you how to, or they order a Big Mac in Pulp Fiction. Let's quickly do another flip. New data showed cancer survival rates. Hold on a sec, guys. I got a phone call. I hate getting bullshit phone calls. Anyways. Was a quarter pounder. Okay, it's been a while since I've watched Pulp Fiction, but anyways, let's see. School bus rolled over. Sudan fighting. People scuba diving. That's fun. 10-year bond yield. This is actually important news. Is it going up? This is for those of you that are into the economy. This is actually important to watch for. It doesn't look like it's really in much trouble right now. Let's actually.
And the jobs picture evolve, especially in light of the CPI data that we got overnight. I mean, do you think there'll be another move
A Royale
from
with
Powell
cheese
before his term ends in May?
You know, it's very likely the Fed is on hold until that June meeting. We have a little bit of moderating elements like with the ISM. Certainly, you see some of the unemployment.
Okay, let's skip that. There was something that I wanted to show you guys here. Let me just pause the video here. So at the beginning of the broadcast, I did mention this earlier that Iran has announced that they are going to start executing people involved in these protests or this revolution, and I believe the first one's supposed to take place, I don't know, sometime soon. But Fox News announced it. Now BBC's announcing it as well, so I actually believe it. And they execute people by hanging people there. Publicly, so they want to make a point to the rest of the citizens there that when they're out, they're out demonstrating or whatever, they're going to see people that are publicly being hanged for these protests. So I'm gonna just watch this video on it here.
Soltani's family say he's scheduled to be executed by the authorities in Iran sometime tomorrow.
Could you imagine that protesting is going to get you executed? Like, this is literally what these people are doing. They're risking their lives, and they could get executed for it. None of us, as far as I know in this chat, have to worry about this sort of thing where they could get publicly executed. Publicly executed within days, not really even much of a trial, for protesting.
He's 26, and the decision is apparently final. There's no appeal.
No
we
appeals.
don't know the charges, but if the death sentence is carried out, it's believed it may be the first following Iran's brutal crackdown on anti-government dissent after more than 2 weeks of nationwide street protests.
Like, this is why, like, I hope the regime falls relatively quickly, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Could you imagine living under this authoritarian lifestyle? And you've got to, worry about, you go out and protest against the government. They could just scoop you up and say, "Okay, we're going to execute you tomorrow." Now, like, that would be terrifying. Like, how do you build up the courage to actually go out and protest?
Human rights organizations are warning his case could signal the start of mass executions targeting demonstrators. Tonight, Donald Trump said he would take very strong action if the Iranian government starts hanging protesters, but he didn't elaborate on what that action might be. A little earlier, he said the Iranian people should keep protesting and save the name of the killers and the...
That's easy to say when you're not the one getting hung. When you're sitting in North America somewhere, it's easy to say, "Hey, keep protesting." Now people are going to start getting publicly executed. It's a little, it's crazy that they're going to keep protesting. Could you imagine protesting the government and you look up and, somebody has been hung on some lamppost or something like that, or from one of those cranes that they use for executions? Probably terrify you, from going out. Your family would probably be like, "Don't go out, please stay home." Like, the balls on these people to be able to go out and actually continue protesting is crazy.
The abusers that are abusing you. Well, we'll take a
Watch
look
some
at
Twitch.
what moves the White House might be considering. But first, Lise Doucette is our top story tonight.
Irfan Soltani, 26 years old, passionate about fashion, sports, style. He was arrested on Thursday, sentenced to death on Sunday. His family was told
3
he'll be
days.
executed tomorrow.
I think we have to take it very...
Tomorrow, this video came out 32 minutes ago. Oh, that's not right, because I clicked on it. So this video's, tomorrow, it's already, I don't know what time it is in Iran. But it's already tomorrow there.
Very seriously, but at the same time, the international community must send a very strong signal, because it seems that they are crossing one red line after the other, and so far they haven't had any consequences.
Tonight, President Trump was asked about this possible execution.
We will take very strong action if they do such a thing.
This is where I wish, like, I wish you would just stop, like, with all this bluster about, how tough they are going to react and stuff like that. Like, it is actually really a scary situation that's there, and these people have all this courage to go out and demonstrate or protest, and they're starting a revolution to try and overthrow the government that's there and stuff like that. They're literally risking their lives, and with these promises, if he doesn't follow through on it, a lot of these people could die expecting that the U.S. is going to come in and save them.
We will take very strong action.
Iran's security forces are lashing out at speed. As protests spiraled more quickly than previous unrest, the authorities also move faster than before, more forcefully too.
So we talked about this a couple of days ago. We said that there was going to be much more enforcement of this. They hadn't really started. Then yesterday, a couple of days ago, they had reported that there were 36 deaths as of like 2 or 3 days ago, and then yesterday it's kind of skyrocketed up to 500, and now the reports I've seen is anywhere from 2,000 up to even as high as 12,000 people that have already been killed because of this. But it's so hard to get accurate figures because they've got the internet turned off. But there's all sorts of pictures that are showing body bags and people just lying dead on the streets and stuff like that are now seeping out of the country.
This evening in London, the Iranian ambassador was summoned, more sanctions announced, and there was a statement in the House of Commons.
The United Kingdom condemns in the strongest of terms the horrendous and brutal killing of Iranian protesters, and we demand that the Iranian authorities respect the fundamental rights and freedoms of their citizens.
You think that the Iranian leadership is listening to any of this, or give a rat's ass? Like, this is almost like just worthless to even say anything. I guess the governments have to say something, but the Iranian government is not going to give a two damns what Miss Yvette, whatever her name was, and the British House of Commons is going to have to say.
Messages sent to the BBC's Persian service reveal much more.
Tell your audiences there isn't the slightest trace of humanity left. Tell them it doesn't matter if someone is old or a child. In their eyes, everyone is a terrorist.
There are
crazy to live under those
security
situations.
Forces in unmarked private cars. 5 people sit inside, all wearing masks. It's the most terrifying scene.
There was also news from a prison in southern Tehran that many of the wounded detainees were simply left there bleeding in the section designated for protesters.
And more grisly videos emerge despite the internet blackout.
Yeah,
this is the opening.
I mean, here's the pictures. Glad they blurred them out for us, but there's body bags basically all over the place. So the low reports are that there's 2,000, on the low end, as high as 12,000, and that was as of this morning. So it's been like another 8 hours since then. So the death toll could be a lot higher than what we're talking about right now.
An air morgue in Karizak. Body bags keep arriving. Families keep searching. The death toll now reported to be in the thousands. These young Iranians are just a few of their faces. Erfan Sultani may soon be part of this terrible toll. Lise Doucette, BBC News.
Crazy.
Well, as we've been hearing,
Donald
Trump says America will respond with strong action if Iran begins executing protesters. But what does that mean? Sarah Smith has more from Washington.
Visiting
What
a
does
car
that
plant
mean?
in Michigan today to talk.
What does that mean? Is he just all talk, or is he actually going to back up his words? This is like actually more serious than people are talking about. If he's just talking, that's dangerous for the Iranian people because they're sitting there thinking, we've got backup now. Let's just keep it up. Let's just keep it up. We've got backup.
Talk about the strength of the U.S. economy. Donald Trump could not avoid questions about Iran. What did he mean when he told protesters that help is on the way?
What did you mean by that? What kind of help?
You're going to have to figure that one out, I'm sorry.
On social media, he had posted, "Iranian patriots, keep protesting. Take over your institutions. Save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I've cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way."
There, exactly. Help is on its way. In what way? Like, are you sending forces to take over the government, or is it just gonna be like all talk? What are you gonna do? Put more sanctions on Iran? Like that? You know, like what are you actually talking about here? Don't give them a false sense of hope. Just
His
be
audience
honest with them.
here and around the world are listening intently for any clue about what form that help might take.
All I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today.
Oh, people are terrified now.
And I say, make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over. And it's all very fragile.
His threats against Iran have been escalating over the last few days. 10 days ago, he issued this warning. If Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue.
Okay, well, they've already done that. So, okay, let's move on to the next point. Like, what are you going to do about it? Or are you just all talk?
We are locked and loaded and ready to go.
This
On
is all
Sunday,
tough guy
he said
talk?
he was looking at military options.
These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
So has he made that determination? Has he decided what action to take? The success of the U.S. raid in Venezuela and the capture of President Nicolas Maduro 10 days ago has emboldened President Trump. But a similar operation is not possible in Iran, whose leaders are much better defended. The same national security officials who watched the Maduro raid have been laying out the possibilities. Donald Trump's talked about getting Elon Musk to use his Starlink satellites to restore internet communications. Or they could...
There was a picture that I think the Iranian government posted that they caught a shipment of Starlink satellites that had been sent across the border for people to use. So I don't know if that was just one shipment or multiple shipments have gone through, but there was a picture. I'd have to bring it up where they caught like a 1-ton truck or something like that was full of Starlink satellites.
Some kind of cyber attack. Other options go all the way up to airstrikes against Iran's nuclear program or military sites. Donald Trump was delighted with the impact of the bunker bombs the US dropped on Iranian nuclear targets last June. Iran has said any attack like this would trigger retaliation against American and Israeli targets in the region. President Trump has been...
We saw what the result was when they tried to attack American targets in the region. Like, I don't even think a single missile made it through the defense system to hit any of their bases. I don't think America's scared at all with this
ratcheting up
threat.
his rhetoric and increasing his threats against Iran. And he knows he will risk looking weak if he doesn't follow through. He may have been talking himself into taking some kind of action.
And Sarah, we're getting reports of some important breaking news concerning all this tonight.
Oh.
Breaking news. Has just put out a briefing advising all U.S. citizens in Iran to leave the country if they can. It says they should try travelling by land to Turkey or Armenia if it's safe to do so, and that if they don't think it's safe, they should find a secure location inside their own building and make sure they have a supply of food, water and essential medicines with them. So that does sound quite ominous in terms of the possibility that the US might be preparing some kind of attack on Iran. And you heard Donald Trump himself saying there that if they do hang protesters, the US will take very strong action. But he is still being incredibly vague about what that action might be. And he did say that if the Iranian regime started killing protesters, then the US would come to their rescue. And we haven't seen any sign of that yet. So it's very difficult to interpret what he meant when he said in that social media post to the protesters, help is on the way. Now he is on the way back to the White House. Right.
I have been I've voiced my opinion on Donald Trump. If he were to actually do something to help the country or help the regime collapse, I would have to give him props for that. Like, I'll be the first one to step up and say, okay, you know what? Like, I got to give him props for that. I'm not sure that I like the I'm a tough guy, threats if he's not actually going to follow through on it. Because you're playing with people's lives at that point.
Right now, he's on Air Force One, where he has said that once he gets back here to the White House, he's going to sit down with his national security advisors and look at what options are available to him on Iran. He obviously sees an opportunity to strike at a weakened regime in Iran at the moment, which he thinks could be to his advantage. But when he's asked what he wants to achieve in Iran, he's very unclear about that. He says he wants to win, but he can't define what that looks like in this case. So it does feel as though the plans are really not entirely ready yet, but might become so soon.
Okay, so let's just pause that there. As far as the any help that the Americans give, they cannot be in charge of bringing in the new leadership group. And I want to see the regime topple as much as anyone else. Maybe not as much as Persians themselves, but I'd like to see the Iranian regime topple myself personally. I think it's a terrible regime. It has been for decades, even longer than that, actually, even with the last Shah. He was pretty brutal, but life was probably better under him than it is under this current regime. So I would like to see this regime toppled. I think it is imperative, though, that the Iranian people are left to decide who is going to run their country hopefully through democratic elections, but without American interference. Because if you have American interference saying, okay, we're going to come in and make sure that we have elections, or the elections are going to be safe or whatever, you're immediately going to have people saying that Americans are rigging it. So if they can find a way to somehow kill or unalive, I guess is what I should say, the leadership, the head clerics and stuff like that, it can't just be the one guy. It's got to be all of them, because if you get one guy, the guy underneath of him might be 10 times worse. So you've got to get rid of the whole group. And then there's got to be some system in place for Iranians to basically decide their own future. And as a reminder, this here is how Iranians lived back in the 70s. Like, these pictures could be anywhere in America in the 70s with their bell-bottom jeans and, this is what they used to live like back in the 70s. And then this authoritarian regime came in because the people didn't want to live under the Shah anymore. And the people that they brought in with the Ayatollah Khomeini coming in, this dude here, it became even worse. So that's why it's really important that they're allowed to decide their future and decide who's going to lead their country, hopefully democratically. I don't know if this Reza Shah, or whatever his name is the right person to help the transition, but he's the only name that I'm hearing. I'm not hearing any other mention of any other people that would be able to help lead this transition. And there's people that are going to worry that he's just going to try and restart the monarchy there. And I don't want that either, but that doesn't matter what I want. All that matters is what the Iranian people want, right? So, anyways, that's my feelings on this. I'm probably going to post this to YouTube, this video, and if you enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel. It's free, and watch me stream live Monday to Fridays and other days. Let's see. Afghanistan went through the same thing. Kabul used to be a paradise oasis in the desert. There's a restaurant that's like less than a block away from me. They're like an Afghani food restaurant, but they make like shawarma wraps and stuff like that. It's the best shawarma wrap in the city. They're absolutely amazing. Who convinced them to do away with what? The Shah? Well, the Shah was a pretty is that what you're talking about, Lando Commando? Who convinced them to get rid of the previous regime? I mean, it was a pretty strict dictatorship that they were living under this as well. It wasn't the best, but they basically got themselves out of one situation and into a much worse situation. Like they went from one dictatorship to suddenly a very strict theological dictatorship. Thanks for the follow, dude. I appreciate that. Danke. Danke. Living that way with more freedom. Okay, so when I say they were more free, but in the sense that, they didn't have these really strict religious clerics like running their lives, but it was still a dictatorship, if you know what I mean. It was still a dictatorship. Like, you could still get arrested for little things. It was still, very authoritarian. The guy who ran the country before, and so they were trying to get away from that. And the guy that was in power before, he was instilled in power by the British and American governments. It wasn't because they wanted him in power. They ousted the previous guy, the guy's father actually, and brought in the new Shah. And he eventually got toppled, and that's what brought in the Ayatollah Khomeini. And then the Ayatollah Khomeini, he died or whatever. I don't know how many clerics they've gone through in that time, but basically they're the supreme leader until they die, it seems like. And now they want to get rid of this guy and bring in, new leadership. But yeah, I've actually been doing some research on, because I was thinking about making a video on like the last 100-year history of Iranian politics, basically, like just a very brief like description of as to what's going on. But I've gotten up to the point where Reza Shah, which was the Shah that was put into power back in like the early part of the 1900s, he was ousted, and then the Shah that we all know, when he was ousted during the World War II, I believe that's when the Shah that we all know was brought into power, and they were very kind of progressive. Like, women were allowed to work. Women worked. They had all these. They had all these rights. They were not very positive with the clergy, the clerics in Iran. So they weren't, they weren't abiding by what the really devout Muslim clerics wanted them to do. And people hated, they were also very strict though. Like, if you got caught doing shit, you could get killed. So it was like living in a dictatorship. So people wanted to get out from underneath of that. So the only other power of the authority people that were in Iran at the time were these clerics. So they turned to the clerics, revolted, had this huge revolution, the revolution of 1979, and that's what brought Khomeini back. And because they were like the only other option, it just turns out they were a much worse option. So I'm hoping that this time they've like, okay, we've gone this way, we've gone way too far now, and I think you're going to see a huge swing back as far as them becoming not liberal like as in a Western society type of liberal, but they will be much more liberal. They'll probably get rid of a lot of the religious rules and regulations, and they've already started to fall. Like, women are no longer required or being kidnapped by the religious police for not wearing their hijab and stuff like that, right? Which led to the public protests a few years ago. But anyways, yeah, like these look like university students at any university in the 70s. These could be any kids at a beach, like this is where Iranian women wearing a bikini in 1970s. Like this could be a North American family or a European family. I think the dude was wondering why the 1970, is it 78 or 79? I thought it was 79 for some reason. No, the I think it was in the 50s when they brought in the Shah. That was orchestrated by the CIA and MI6. The CIA and MI6 brought in the Shah. They overthrew the previous Shah, the Shah's father, kicked him out of the country basically, instilled his kid, and I think that was in the 50s. And a lot of that had to do with oil because they nationalized the oil and stuff like that. The British were pissed off. You can tell that doing that set Iran back 100. Oh, for sure. Like it completely set Iran back. 1978 and completed in 79. Is it could be it could be right. I'm not a hold on. I think it's called the 1979 revolution though. May as well get. Okay, you're right. It started in January of 1978 and ended in February of 1979. For some reason, it's called the 1979 revolution, though. I don't know. But you're right. It started in January, so early. So it lasted over a year. How was Christianity viewed in Iran in the 70s? I don't think it was. I think there were Christians there. I think there was Jews that were there. Like it was a fairly progressive country at the time. Like it was a very progressive country. Aside from the fact that it was a dictatorship, like it was a pretty progressive country. And then this happened. This is, I don't. Is this actually Iran? This picture looks too clear to be Iran in the 1970s. I'm not gonna lie. That looks too clear. This is the Shah. This is the Shah of Iran. I'm pretty sure that's him. There, this is him here. This is him here, and this is his son. Pahlavi. I think it's pronounced Pahlavi. Is it Reza Pahlavi? Yeah, Pahlavi went into exile as the last monarch. It died years later. I can't remember where he died. I think he died in France or something like that. And then his son is the guy that we see on pictures, wanting to basically take control. Well, come back and help the transition. So it's Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. This is this guy here. And it's his son, this guy here, that we now see in pictures. If I can find... But it's his son that we see all over the news. Talking, this is him as a baby. Talking about wanting to come back to the country to, help the transition of power. People are just worried that if he comes back, though, he's going to try to take power and restore the monarchy. But he said that he doesn't want to do that. He said that he wants to just help with the transition, and then his day in politics is done. Crazy how fast shit went bad. Yeah, they went from like this sort of stuff to this in a year. Like that's how fast it happened. That's how fast this happened. Look at this, before versus after. "15 differences." I don't know. Should we watch this video? Five differences in 15 minutes. I think that's maybe a video we can save for another day or something. Erman does not want to watch the video at all. He's like, no. No. if he goes there, somebody will assassinate him. Do you really think Taliban-like people will surrender? I mean, dude, there's so many people who are involved in this revolution now. Like, I don't know, man. I'm 50-50 on whether or not the government's going to fall, to be honest. Like, I hope it does. Because like I've said, I've got a lot of Persian friends that live here in Vancouver, and their parents are extremely nice people. You know, very friendly. They're all extremely well educated. 90% of Afghanistan is also against Islamic rule, but that's sadly not how the world works. I think eventually states like this will fall. Herman, I think there's always a point where people are going to be like, okay, enough is enough. And this could be that point. I don't think any state would be able to survive under that sort of authoritarian rule. I think it's just the natural order of things that eventually people are going to rise up and say, okay, we've had enough. A lot of Persians here in Southern California, and every person I've met has been very hospitable and kind. They're all like, I've met so many Persians that they've all been extremely friendly. Why didn't it happen in Afghanistan? It hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean it will never happen. Right? Like, I think eventually situations like this, like, keep in mind, like, the Taliban has been in power in Afghanistan, 1,500 years? Iran's economy is fucked. Iran is running out of water. I can see how they can continue very long, even if the current situation cools down. I can't see how they can. I mean, like I said, we have no idea how long that they're going to be able to continue to fight. But you've got people like the leadership in Germany that are commenting that they think that the Chancellor of Germany is saying that he thinks that it's only a matter of days now. You've got other leaders that are very optimistic that this could be the collapse of Iran's authoritarian dictatorship, whatever they have there. They don't even have real. I mean, they have like sham elections, basically. They're not even real elections because, the people that are running for president of Iran have to be like allowed to run by the clerics themselves. So obviously they're not going to allow someone to run if they don't completely like submit to whatever the clerics want. But I do believe that authoritarian regimes like this will always collapse. Eventually there will be a breaking point and the population is just like, no, enough is enough. And maybe they will get some help from the outside as well. But I listen, I tell you what, guys, I grew up when the Cold War was still a thing. Like, I remember going to high school and we didn't call it Russia at that point. It was called the USSR. And, I remember when the USSR collapsed and nobody thought that was happening. And I remember when the German, when the wall in Germany came down. I remember walking into I took German in high school. I remember walking into the classroom and my German high school teacher was crying. And we were like, what's going on? And she could barely talk. And she was like, the wall is coming down in Germany. And this is something that she grew up with. She's German and never, ever thought she would see that day. Like, never thought she would see that day. I've got a piece of the wall in my in one of my storage bins. I should break it out one of these days. But like, this is something that people never thought was going to happen, and then suddenly one day it did. And growing up after that point, I always wondered, will this happen in China? Will this happen in Iran? Will this happen in North Korea? And maybe it won't happen after just 5 years or something like that. But I believe it will eventually happen at least in North Korea and Iran. I believe it will happen in those countries. There will be like some sort of a shift. But it's, I think one day it will actually happen. Holy Unk could be my dad. What? And the world didn't get better after the Berlin Wall fell? Ask people in Eastern Germany. They'll tell you it did. Ask people in Eastern Germany if they think that the world got better. They'll definitely tell you it got better for them. Well, I mean, the wall being up for me didn't affect me. It was people that were behind the wall that it affected, or on the other side of the wall, right? Like it definitely for a region, it definitely did get better. Ask people in Latvia or Estonia if their lives are better now that they don't belong to the USSR. I can tell you right now, they'll tell you that their lives are better now that they're not part of the USSR. Right? Like it's yeah, Estonia's thriving. I know a couple, like ask Poland how they're doing. Ask Poland how they're doing. Poland's one of the strongest economies now in Europe, I believe. Right? Like these countries are doing better. Sure, it doesn't strongest. I didn't say strongest. I said one of the strongest. Poland. I believe they're doing exceptionally well, their economy. Poland is one of the bottom? Really? Poland's listed as number 9 in economic strength in the EU, dude. They're ahead of Belgium, Sweden, Ireland, Austria, Norway, Denmark, Romania, Czech Republic. It doesn't sound like they're doing too badly. Doesn't sound like they're doing too badly. Growth does not necessarily equate to power. I'd always heard that Poland, like in the last like 5 or 10 years, have done exceptionally well. Have been doing really well. This is based on GDP. I can buy a house with just a bottle of whiskey. We can do that in Italy too. We can do that in Italy too. But from 2018 until hold on, where am I looking here? From 2018 to 2025, so 7 years, their GDP has almost doubled. In 7 years, Poland. They've done exceptionally well over the last 7 years. Their GDP has almost doubled in 7 years. That's what I'm talking about. They're doing very well. That is actually insane. You're right. That is like to double your GDP. And right now their GDP is right behind Netherlands and ahead of Switzerland. Pretty good. In case you're wondering, it goes Germany, UK, France, Italy, Russia, Spain, Turkey, Netherlands, Poland, and Switzerland. That's the top 10. You don't believe that? Okay, well, find your own proof then. I don't care. I don't care. Find your own proof. Greece was on the list, but they were down at number 22. Greece was number 22. Unemployment? Okay, I don't know. I'll Google it for you. Unemployment rate in Poland recently around Eurostat measures them hovering around 3.2 to 3.3 as of November of 2025, making it one of EU's lowest, although slightly up from recent lows as the economy stabilizes. Third largest in NATO by active personnel. You know that 5% requirement that Trump demanded? Poland is already spending more than 5% of their GDP on the military, and they have been for some time. Like they're fucking ready for combat. Greece is second in what? Food? I agree. Greece is second in food, right behind Italy. Guys, I'm going to pimp my channel again. If you guys haven't, do me a favor. That's my link to my new YouTube channel where I'm going to be posting all these VODs, but also clips and any news stories that I do. So I'm currently creating a video about Iran. Hopefully I'll have it out in the next week. But any review videos I do will be posted there as well. So if you would be so kind, just trying to get the YouTube started, throw me a subscription. Just to be nice, feel sorry for me. I don't really care. Turkey ranks as the second largest NATO member by active military personnel. They do have Turkey does have a very large military. But there's a lot of countries over in Europe that have required military service as well. I believe Switzerland, it is required. Is it 2 years service for Switzerland? I believe Greece is, or not Greece, Germany, also has like some sort of requirement as well, but I believe that there's a way to get out of it if you're doing something. So, I have it legally, but it's on pause until war is closed. Until war is closed. So, Ermin, where are you from again? I know you told me before, but I can't remember where everyone's from. Netherlands, okay. Finland has 6 months to a year. Yeah, and that is fairly common in a lot of countries. Like we don't have that here in North America. But yeah, I mean, I know Switzerland, like I believe it's mandatory, 2 year service or something like that in Switzerland. Germany, I can't remember what the requirement is. But I mean, lots of countries over there have some form of military requirement. And I know other countries, like the U.S. is a prime example of this. If you join their military and do your, I don't know how long you have to be in service for, but once you're done, they'll pay for your education. You know, so unfortunately, it's a way for people of poorer backgrounds to not be taken advantage of, but they tend to, be more ready to sign up for military service because it's a way for them to actually get an education. It's not mandatory for everyone. It's more like a draft thing, I believe. You can get lucky or not. They have that in Thailand, actually. They have that in Thailand, and you actually like go to there's like a drafting party where you basically like draw your name out of a hat, and if your name has like a red dot on it or something like that, you have to go to military for a year or something. I know they have that in Thailand. I just remember that actually. As the second most active personnel in NATO. I mean, you could Google this, guys. List NATO by military person. All right. We're gonna end this. We're gonna end this discussion. The United States leads NATO in active military personnel. We already knew that. Over 1.3 million, followed by Turkey and large European nations like France, Poland, Germany, and the UK, with smaller countries like Luxembourg and Iceland having minimal to or no standing armies. In the top 10, Greece isn't listed. Okay, Greece is not even listed. It's the United States, Turkey, France, Poland, Germany, United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, Romania, and Canada. So here's by Statistica.com. Oh, it's a paid site. I gotta actually pay $199 a month. Okay, I don't care. Member states of NATO, army sizes of NATO, Russia, and Ukraine. Okay, so here's another list where Greece is actually on it. Oh, but this includes countries like Russia, which should not be on this. Oh, it's army sizes of NATO, Russia, and the Ukraine. So here we go. This is including Russia and the Ukraine. So 1.5 million for Russia, active. This is active military personnel. I'll just list off the NATO countries, and I'll give their numbers. U.S. 1.32 million, and then Turkey 355,000. Poland 200,000. France 200,000. UK 185,000. Germany 182,000. Italy 166,000. Greece 143,000, Spain 133,000, Romania 81,000, Canada 68,000. That will be dramatically increasing, by the way, because they just dramatically increased the pay for Canadian troops. That's part of the way that they're going to get to their 5% GDP, because they were significantly underpaid before. Hungary with 41.6 thousand, Netherlands with 41,000, Bulgaria 37,000, and Czechia with 28,000. There you go. And that's as of 2024. I don't even know how many people are in Greece, but that seems like a pretty decent sized number for the number of people that are in Greece. How many people are in Greece? Like, what's the population of Greece? It's probably less than Canada, right? Of Greece. Yeah, way less than Canada. They've got 10.4 million people. Okay, 10.4 million people. Whoops. And they have 143,000 roughly armed or military personnel. They might have the highest per capita. It's Robo. Because that seems pretty high per capita. I think maybe that's what you were meaning, is maybe per capita they probably are ranked right up there, because that seems pretty high. I mean, Vancouver, Canada has 42 million people roughly, and we've got less than half of what Greece has. So we've got 4 times the population and half the number of military personnel. But that's skyrocketing right now. So. But I mean, I'm not going to look all that stuff up individually, to be honest. I'm not going to look that all up individually. What else do we want to cover today, guys? I really want to cover the Epstein files. I don't really want to talk about that right now, to be honest. Hold on. This is more stuff on Iran. I haven't seen this guy talk yet.
The Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, on a terrorist list. They are. They will help. They will send a signal to the authorities and to Iranian people that the world is supporting you. But I think we should go beyond that. You see, one side is what the regime in Iran doing. The other side is what Iranian people are demanding. I think it's also the time to recognize the demands by Iranian
But the files,
people.
that's why ICE
They
is
are
going
calling
over the top
for
to keep
a
the media and
democratic
people's brains
system,
busy.
calling for free and fair
Are you
elections. I
home
think these
now,
are
Wise
things
Guy, or are
that
you just on like a little
international community
break?
can stand behind.
You were here for like
Same
two
happened
seconds
during
earlier.
South Africa under apartheid. There were people fighting against apartheid inside South Africa, but the whole international community supported their demands. This can be the next step.
But what do you mean nobody wants to talk about it? You mean like Trump, or do you
Iranian
mean like everybody on the planet? Because I don't think other people outside of Trump's inner circle want to talk about it. Like, they want to talk about it. They were supposed to release the files. The courts ordered them to, and they haven't.
Of the fact
I want to
that
see them released.
The days of Iran's leadership are numbered.
But until they're released,
what do you say to that? Is he correct in that assessment, and how do you expect the next days and weeks to play out?
What's to talk about?
I think it was a very, very good statement. We noticed it when the statement came out, because he's basically saying that this system doesn't have a legitimacy, and that's true. You know, a system that does not have anything to offer to its people other than
the smoke show. Yeah,
violence,
you know,
the way they are doing
some
it.
big news story suddenly starts up as soon as
they are
people start talking
for
about the
their survival, you know,
Epstein files
as
again.
the
Suddenly
same way
they
as
bomb
they
a country,
managed to
or
save Assad for some
they
years,
threaten
but where is
another
Assad
country
now?
or whatever.
I think
They
the
distract
same,
from the Epstein files
is
every
going
single
to
day.
be with Ali Khamenei and his system. They don't have any legitimacy.
You ever
and
get a
I think
conclusion
that
about
it's a
the ICE in
question of
Minnesota?
time. So what we hope is that it becomes as
People are just still
least
pissed off?
bloody as possible. But we should keep in mind that we are facing one of the most brutal armies, the IRGC, who have been committing crimes against humanity before, and they are doing it right now.
That was Mahmoud Amiri Moghadam, director of the NGO Iran Human Rights. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It has not been easy to stand up to completely unacceptable.
Okay, we've gone over the Greenland stuff. Trump prices low inflation numbers. Okay, CNN's is on repeat. Like I don't. They've just been. Their stream has just been over the same crap.
There are protests that are happening. It's not just the youth. This is across all ages.
Oh, I know what I needed to do. I needed to look at my news
spectrum. It's all spectrums. So you're seeing much more widespread effort than we've ever seen before.
And what might be stopping him from taking decisive action against Iran?
Well, it might not be necessarily stopping him. Of course, he's going to give them the opportunity to stop doing what they're doing. There could be a whole host of things that we're not even thinking through. It could also be what's the exact time. It could be them presenting him with a plan that he looks at and says this is acceptable. And keep in mind, there are always all sorts of other things. Steve Witkoff and others are always working peace deals in back channels. There could be conversations that are ongoing. If we see anything happen, it'll be very well thought through.
Let's talk about the relationship between the president and the BBC. We heard
China should liberate the
BBC
USA.
are requesting that this case gets thrown out.
Old Draenor, not yet. I haven't been told one way or the other, but I've started to move on. There's a one place in particular that I want to apply to. So there's certain person in the chat that has been talking to me about a company that I'd love to get a job. If I got a job at this company, I'd just tell my old employer to go fuck themselves, that I don't want the job back. So, but no, they haven't. They've got like another 2 weeks apparently before they need to make some sort of a decision. But if I'm planning on handing in my resume in the next couple of days to this other company, and if they, I don't know how long the process takes with this other company I want to apply to. Like, if would I hear back in a week, or maybe it's 3 months? I really don't know. But if I hear back in like a week and they're like, hey, yeah, okay, well, you can start next week or something like that, I'd just take the job and tell the old company I'm done. Like, I've moved on. And I just leave it at that. But if they call me and say, hey, we got your job back, then I take it back. But if this new company then turns around and says, hey, yeah, we'd be interested in giving you a job, then I would quit the job that I just got back to go work for them. But we'll have to, it's just all kind of up in the air right now. So it's a little stressful, because I'm at a point where I'm like, where am I going to be in a year type of thing, right? So, but it's all kind of up in the air right now. We'll see how things go. There's a couple of other places that I'd like to apply to, but I kind of want to find out how long the list is for this job that I'm actually really interested in. Like, is it something that could take months? Is it something that could take a week or two? If it's something that it could take months, then I would probably start applying to other places as well. If it's somewhere where I find out that it could just be a week, where they might call me back, then I wouldn't bother applying to these other places until Indoc is every Monday. So if you go this week, you'll be in Monday for that. Really? So okay, so Wise Guy's the person who works for the same company. Don't tell them what it's for though, dude. Don't give any hints. So you think if I'm handing in my resume tomorrow, I'm working on Monday? Is that what you're telling me? What do you do for work? He's a pimp. He's a pimp. Okay, I'll and if you see me around, don't call me Alodar. Actually, you can call me whatever you want if I get the job. You can call me whatever you want if I get the job. I'll answer to Alodar to you. No, to be honest though, for everyone else in chat, the job that I'm talking about would be a major opportunity for me. I'd be ecstatic if I got the job there. Like this last job that I had, I was really excited to get that job. But this one that I'm talking about, like, I am fully qualified for the job. It is completely different than what I was doing at my last job. But a lot of the experience that they ask for, I do have some of that experience, but I haven't done that work in quite a few years. Okay, so Wise Guy's basically telling people what I'd be doing. What I just asked you not to do, dude. Okay, you're okay. Anyways, I honestly probably, like, if I got a full-time job there, I probably wouldn't care if actually people knew that I worked there. Because if I'm actually like gonna just be like streaming for fun again, then I'd be like, whatever. If you find out that I work there, I probably wouldn't care. But yeah, anyways, I would be ecstatic if I got a job there. I've got a couple of relatives that work there, as well. They don't. One of them actually does work at the same place, but he does a completely different job than what Wise Guy does, and not the same job that I do either. But it's at the same location, I believe. And then another cousin of mine works over in Victoria. So, they've given me the okay to use them as a reference. So hopefully that's enough. And my charm, my quick wit, hopefully that's enough. Anyways, guys, here's the option. I was going to here's the thing. Tomorrow's my birthday. Okay, tomorrow's my birthday. So I don't know what my plans are for tomorrow. I don't even know what my plans are for tonight because I want to really kind of get my resume wrapped up to be able to hand in. And whether I drive in tomorrow to do that, to hand it in. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. Don't act like it. Old Drainer, I'm not going to lie. I've kind of got the itch now. I was watching Grays play earlier, and they're doing the hardcore TBC, and I was like, maybe hardcore TBC might not be a bad idea for something, but I'm still so like glued in with EVE Online that I don't want to stretch myself too thin and start playing another game. Just installing WoW. Yeah, EVE Online though, dude, is so much fun. I love playing EVE Online, man. It is a great game. And I've already paid for like the next 2 years of sub for EVE Online, so it's like, I'd have to. I don't want to even pay for a sub with WoW, at least until I get a job anyway. So, but yeah, tomorrow is my 51st, the anniversary of my 51st trip around the sun. I don't know what I've got planned for tomorrow. I haven't even really thought about it, and I didn't even remember that it was my birthday until this morning when I woke up. I was like, what freaking day is it? Is it my birthday today? And then I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh no, it's tomorrow. Just gonna play TBC on a Blood Out Paladin for. I've got a 60 druid, but I thought if I play, it would be either hardcore or I just level my druid up to 70 just to do arenas. I'm not raiding. There is absolutely no chance I'm raiding. To a lurker spout would be pretty. There's a lot of things that like I have no doubt I could get to 60 on a druid. But yeah, I mean, imagine losing it to what's his name roaming around in Burning Burning Steps or whatever? Not Burning Steps. What is the first zone? But the big huge robotic guy. So I think I was even thinking about maybe doing an IRL stream tomorrow or something like that, like just something walking around or but I feel like I need to get back into EVE Online. Because I've kind of like not been like streaming it for the last, week or so. IRL stream to the Union Hall. Dude, not walking in with my IRL stream set up and hand in my resume. I'm not doing that. And if I get the job and I'm starting on Monday, I will buy you a coffee or a bite to eat. I'll tell you what, I'll take you out for a steak dinner at the Keg or something. How's that? You can get like a 24-ounce steak or something on me. But anyways, I don't know that there's anything more to go over. I think I'm just kind of sitting here blab. We could go over like some. I don't know if I want to be doing stuff like going over like live stream fails or stuff like that. Like if there's something big that happens in the streaming community, like some big drama or something, maybe I'll cover it. But I don't want to just cover like live stream fails just for content. I think we've probably pretty much run out of stuff to talk about today. So I'll end the stream here. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see anything that's, been recently reported. We've got all free coffee machines, anything you want, lattes, etc. Every 100 yards. You just work. Okay, well, I mean, I wasn't gonna buy you one of those coffees. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea, but I was like half serious. Actually, I would. I would take you for a steak dinner. You and your son for a steak dinner at the Keg if I get a job there. How's that? Not trying to bribe you or anything like that, but just as like appreciating that you pointed this out for me. Old gym, they just replaced there, so you don't need a membership to the gym if you don't wanna. I like the gym that I go to though. Anyways, I'm gonna end it there, guys. As far as the stream goes, I want to really thank you guys for coming in and watching the stream. I really do enjoy going over this. If you could be so kind, that is my link to my YouTube channel. It's a new YouTube channel where I'm going to be posting all my clips and new review videos. Like I did one today, I will be posting it there as well to give my thoughts on different things that are going on. And also I live stream there, so I'm multi-streaming to both platforms. So you can watch the stream there if you want as well. I don't know, maybe your job doesn't allow you to watch streams on Twitch. You can watch it on YouTube or something. But I would appreciate a subscription on YouTube, even if it's just to help me with my ego or my pride, I guess. Right now, after a week, we're sitting at about 14 subscribers. So it's funny you say that as an inspector. I can't take gifts because they could be a bribe. I'm not giving you a gift. Are we not allowed to go to? Anyways, happy birthday tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you very much, guys. We will see you later. I don't think I'll be streaming later. Like I said, I kind of want to get this resume completed now that I've got my my relatives to put down as a reference. But if I'm awake and I'm bored, maybe I will pop on for an EVE Online stream or something like that. Or, of course, if there's some major announcement regarding like the Iranian situation, if they show that the regime is toppling, I will immediately hop back on. So have a good one, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Follow me on YouTube. Adios. 07's in the chat. Good night.